What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is episode 393 for your October 2nd, 2021. I am JD from New York, and this weekend is the one weekend where WWE puts the least amount of creativity into their weekly shows. It is the WWE Draft for 2021. WWE usually goes into this weekend very much unprepared. WWE usually goes into this weekend with basically no idea about anything or anyone going to a specific brand. WWE has not laid the foundation for this very weekend, meaning anything. They rush through it. They don't really present a real sports-like environment or atmosphere for the draft. Yet, WWE wants us to take it very seriously because the foundation of the company will change, quote-unquote, forever. Now, that's obviously a crock of shit, but the WWE Draft is merely used as a marketing tool for, you guessed it, folks, ratings. Ratings for SmackDown, ratings for Raw. WWE usually gets your hopes up about everything that's going into this draft, and it usually ends up being the most disappointing weekend and disappointing event of the entire calendar year. So we will go over everything today, and I know that there will be a few people wanting my opinion on who do I think should go where and how would I operate the draft and how I would do this entire weekend. I'm going to give you guys the entire list of WWE rosters on Raw and SmackDown, and we are going to have a full-fledged JD already picked because I woke up this morning and I did this work for the draft. An entire list of JD draftees. Who do I think should go where? What brand they should end up on? Am I switching championships from Raw to SmackDown or SmackDown to Raw? We're going to have fun with it today, guys, on the podcast. And I'm very much appreciative of you joining me here on your Saturday. We also got news on Queen of the Ring. We have a new name for this new women's tournament that will be happening this year. I got news on the update and the latest rumors of the WWE going to the United Kingdom for a major pay-per-view in 2022. I got WWE struggling to sell tickets, not only in Long Island for their Monday Night Raw, but WWE is actually having problems selling tickets for Survivor Series, of all places, in the Barclays Center. So we will go over that and what the latest news is on that. Shane McMahon was in the news. Apparently, he's not with WWE anymore. And apparently, people are making it out to be another falling out with his father, Vince McMahon. But that is not the case. I got the news, the latest on Shane McMahon. And I got news about everything going into and coming out of the draft, including rumored NXT call-ups and one group of NXT talent that just doesn't make any sense and should absolutely stay right down in NXT on Tuesday night. We got all this, plus so much more on the podcast today for episode 393. Once again, thank you guys very much for joining me here on Off the Script. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's Twitter and Instagram. Thank you to the new followers this week. We are at 34,300 plus on the Twitter side of things. Thank you very much for spending your days and your weeks with me as I cover these shows on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Plus, you got the flagship podcast every single weekend right here on OTS for your Saturday. So make sure you guys are following me on social media. JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. We are dangerously close to 128,000 subscribers. Thank you again to everybody on the YouTube side of things. Continue to join the channel as well. Become VIPs in the venue. Become VIPs on the live streams. You guys get access to those custom emojis and those custom badges to show your allegiance to Off the Script. Everybody's having fun with them. And I thank you guys for joining the VIP lounge here on OTS. Please make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. That is very crucial. Thumbs up on the channel, thumbs up on the video. Let's try and get 1,500 likes for this weekend's draft episode of Off the Script. So continue to do that. It goes a long way in helping the video and the channel out with the YouTube algorithm. So I appreciate you guys doing that. Go and get your t-shirts, man. We got a new t-shirt out. It's called the OTS Incident. It is now live on Bonfire. You guys can actually take a look at it right underneath the video player that you're watching this podcast from right now on YouTube. Click that. Go and pick it up on Bonfire. Excellent, excellent design. We got it done this past week, and it's a take on Final Fantasy VII. And I love the design, man, because it just fits the whole mold and theme of what we do here on Off the Script. Go and get that. We also got the Summer Scam t-shirts, the JD is Negan t-shirts. We got the JD's Elite and the JD Club shirts. All of that stuff is on Bonfire. So if you guys want some merchandise to support the show, please go and do that, man. Bonfire.com. Everything you need is right underneath the video player. Easy access for you. Click the shirt you want. It'll take you right to Bonfire's website. Patreon's another great way to support the show, man. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. That is probably one of the best ways to support. We got exclusive merchandise for your patronage on there. We got the Are You Live t-shirts, because that's our theme when we go live right before we do the post shows on YouTube. We got that exclusive t-shirt, and we got the Dugout mugs still available for all you Patreons out there. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And today's show is sponsored by my great friends over at Manscaped, manscaped.com. You guys are going to use code SCRIPT20 at checkout to save 20% off and get free shipping, man. It is the fall season, and you should make sure that your pumpkins down below don't look like a fucking horror show. And I really urge you to go out there and support Manscaped, man. They've been very, very supportive of the show. Great sponsor for Off the Script. That's manscaped.com. And you guys are going to use code SCRIPT20 at checkout. And we will talk about my friends over at Manscaped a little bit later on. Manscaped.com, SCRIPT20 at checkout, 20% off, free shipping. I want to thank them for supporting Off the Script. And go check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel. That is all on the homepage right now. If you missed the Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown post shows from this week, everything you need is on the homepage. Let's get into the top, guys. We got Queen of the Ring. It is not going to be called Queen of the Ring, and this is being reported by my good friend Andrew Zarian of the Matman podcast. It's been a long rumored speculation that the WWE was planning a women's version of the King of the Ring tournament, especially after the company filed to trademark Queen's Crown Tournament at the end of August 2021. Andrew Zarian, who's been spot on with pretty much everything he's reported, has now made confirmation on Twitter that the tournament will indeed be called the Queen's Crown Tournament. At least it isn't women's tournaments-like structure. Ha ha ha. So WWE is going to kind of differentiate the King of the Ring tournament and the Queen of the Ring tournament, which is a great thing. And I love that the women are getting that own tournament sort of vibe for whatever they got going on here. I don't know if it's going to be the same process for both men's and women's tournaments, but I like that it's not called the Queen of the Ring, because that is reserved for the men, King of the Ring. And I like the Queen's Crown Tournament, man. I think that fits nice. I think that's got a nice ring to it. And I hope WWE really makes it, and this is the most important thing of all, I really hope WWE only goes into this with excitement and they really make it prestigious. And I hope that they do a good job at making it feel special, because a lot of the things that you see on WWE television, they just don't feel special at all. Their championships don't feel special. In fact, the championships are a downright fucking embarrassment. The feuds don't feel special that we see on TV. WWE more times than I'd like to see, run through dream matches on basic television, and they mean nothing. They hot shot this, they hot shot that, they fast track this, they fast track that, all for the sake of ratings because they're starting to feel the pressure from multiple sides of things. But the Queen's Crown Tournament, I think, makes a lot of sense, and it's got a nice ring to it. Zarian has also reported previously that the internal plan is for both the King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown Tournament to start on the October 8th episode of SmackDown, with the finals both taking place at the Crown Jewel event in Saudi Arabia on October 21st. I don't like the fact that we're getting a final for the men and women's tournaments in Saudi Arabia, especially the women. Now, I know WWE wants to, quote-unquote, break barriers in Saudi Arabia, and hopefully the Saudi Arabian fans behave themselves this time around, because the last women's match that we got, I believe it was Natalya. I don't know who it was, Natalya Naomi or Lacey Evans and Natalya, one or the other. Natalya, I vividly remember she had a bottle thrown at her during her entrance during the 2019 Crown Jewel event. So hopefully they behave if WWE wants to once again put women on that show and again play the political card about breaking boundaries in a country where they don't really like to see that type of thing, and you should abide by their rules. But that's another story for a different day. I don't like the fact that it's taking place in Saudi Arabia, Crown Jewel, for my reason of, I think it's going to be a rush job. And WWE, I think it would be better served for them to do something a little bit more, I guess, stretched out, a little bit more planning going into it. And the only thing I do like about this, and the fact that both of them are taking place on, what was the date? October 8th? So they're both going to start on October 8th, which means this is going to happen after the draft, which is a good thing. So at least WWE has that mindset going for them. After the draft is over, everybody is going to be situated on their new brands. If people are moving to a different brand, they'll be on that brand. If you're staying put, obviously we will know that. And everybody's going to be involved and be on their brand. So we can go and do something where everybody is now associated with their own brand for the draft for the rest of the year. So WWE, I feel like, would do better if this finals takes place at Survivor Series. That's just me. Now, I don't know if you guys agree with that, because the way I would set it up is I would do one side Raw, one side SmackDown, and I would have the finals be a Raw versus SmackDown final, and that's the whole theme of Survivor Series. So you should do the Queen's Crown final and the King of the Ring final at the Survivor Series. Give it that importance it deserves. Stretch it out a bit. I don't know why we need to rush through it. I don't. It should be something that is very important. And the stakes, we don't know what the stakes are. We don't know what's on the line. Is the winner of the women's tournament going to get a women's championship match, depending on what brand wins the tournament? Does the same thing apply to the men? We don't know. We don't have any ruling on it. WWE may announce it, I think, this weekend with the draft. Now, I'm recording this before SmackDown. They may announce something for SmackDown tonight. I don't know. We may get both announcements on Monday if nothing is said on SmackDown tonight. We don't know. We don't know what WWE is doing or what they are waiting for, but I would do it at Survivor Series. I think that is probably what would be best, in my honest opinion. But the Queen's Crown Tournament is taking place. The King of the Ring Tournament is taking place. We got the Owen Hart Tournament taking place on AEW television, probably sometime in 2022. We got a lot of tournaments, man. And like I say, every single time I talk about tournaments, tournament is my middle name. I love it. I love it. So we will see what happens with that. The latest on the rumors regarding a pay-per-view for WWE in the United Kingdom. There's been a lot of talk about a UK-based pay-per-view next year in 2022. Now, What Culture reported that WWE could be bringing a big show back to the United Kingdom in 2022 at either Principality Stadium in Cardiff, that holds about 70,000 people, or Wembley Stadium in London, and that holds around 90,000 people. Now, Alex McCarthy of Talk Sport reported that Cardiff's Principality Stadium is WWE's frontrunner to hold the event, as WWE has been working on that venue for a number of months. It was said that this is WWE's preferred venue, but nothing is final right now. Plans for a WWE pay-per-view in the UK are looking very positive after last week, says McCarthy of Talk Sport. Dave Meltzer reported in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that both of these venues are still very much in the running, but it is definitely nowhere close to being a done deal. It was also added that WWE is looking to run more stadium shows starting next year, considering the success of this year's SummerSlam from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. WWE hasn't hosted a pay-per-view in the United Kingdom since the 1992 SummerSlam, where we saw Bret the Hitman Hart drop the Intercontinental Championship to Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, in the main event of that show. A very overrated match, in my honest opinion. Not bad by any means, but I mean, I'm not as high on that match. And I always have to say this because a lot of people really put that in the top 10 greatest WWE matches of all time. It's not a top 10 match to me. It isn't. And I don't really see the big stink about that match. Never did. You know, it was a good Bret Hart match, but we've seen so much better from the Hitman. Really. We've seen so much better from Bret Hart. So it had significance because of where it was and Davey Boy Smith winning it in the main event. I wish the Intercontinental Championship was that prestigious nowadays, where it could main event a SummerSlam or a pay-per-view in general. But that's asking too much of this current management team in WWE. And it's been documented that WWE wanted Drew McIntyre and Tyson Fury to work a main event of a pay-per-view in the United Kingdom last year, but plans were nixed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. You could keep that shit at the fucking door. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody is interested in that. If you are, you're a fucking idiot. How does that get you excited? If WWE's putting on a pay-per-view in the United Kingdom, it needs to be a WrestleMania-like show. Tyson Fury versus Drew McIntyre is not a WrestleMania-like match. Drop it. After I watched Tyson Fury wrestle last time he was there, I don't want to see it ever again. A complete waste of fucking time. Who did he wrestle? Strowman? The Strowman Express? Give me a break. Give me a break. What a fucking embarrassment, man. I think this is good news. I'm very excited about this. And WWE going back to the United Kingdom, I always look forward to them going back to the United Kingdom, man. The fans are rabid. And if WWE does that, I feel like they'll probably be better off there than sometimes here in the States, especially now, man. They're very lukewarm in the States right now. AEW is trending hotter than WWE right now. I believe if the Long Island show is any indication, if this Long Island show for AEW and WWE is any indication, I know Dynamite's going there in December, Raw is going there in December. I think it's 4 times more Dynamite ticket sales than Monday Night Raw ticket sales. That alone, especially in a New York market, in a brand new arena, that alone should tell you where the fans want their fix of professional wrestling. And it's not coming from Vince McMahon. It's not. It's that little t-shirt company, that pissant company that calls themselves professional wrestling. Seems like fans want more professional wrestling. Seems like WWE should get on the train of professional wrestling. Because this sports entertainment shit is fucking garbage. They should really take things a little bit more seriously. If I was Vince McMahon, I'd be very fucking pissed at those numbers right now, especially with the Survivor Series ticket sales, which I'm about to get into in a second. But WWE running the United Kingdom, I don't know why they ever shied away from this. I don't know if it was monetarily the reason why, or if it was time zone-wise. I think it's about time we start doing that. And WWE, you know, I don't want to throw this out there, but I'm going to anyway. Tony Khan has stated that he wants to do something in the United Kingdom, and he's already got a venue in place for a huge stadium show for AEW. Now, we didn't start hearing about this in the news, and WWE really didn't leak this news to people like Alex McCarthy before all of this AEW talk. So why now? Is it because of the AEW effect? Or because Tony Khan went on Busted Open Radio and revealed some of his plans about an AEW United Kingdom show? Now, all of a sudden, we're starting to hear the WWE speak about doing stadium shows in the United Kingdom. Is that just a coincidence? Or is WWE really keeping an eye on what TK is doing? Oh, but I thought they're not competition. I thought that they're not competition, says Nick Khan, man, and Vince McMahon. Sure they're not. But go ahead. I'd love to see one there. The crowd is rabid. That's all I care about. And WWE absolutely needs that sort of energy. Really. I'd love to see it. Speaking of ticket sales, man, pay-per-view Survivor Series is not doing too well right now. WWE is struggling to sell tickets for the Survivor Series. According to Dave Meltzer, the Survivor Series from Barclays Center on November 21st has a large number of tickets still available. To be fair, it just turned October. We got a month and a half before Survivor Series. Too early to really gauge on what's going on, and nothing is really announced. Plus, you got the COVID restrictions. Who doesn't want to go to the show? Who can't go to the show? Who wants to go to the show but then sees the ticket prices and rather stay home? Nothing's really been announced for the Survivor Series. But according to Meltzer, the show has only sold around 6,835 tickets. Meltzer also noted in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that earlier in the week, only 4,700 tickets were paid for by fans actually attending the show. The secondary market makes up for 2,107 of the tickets sold, which means 44.8% of the tickets went to the secondary market brokers. It was said that nearly half of the tickets sold going to the secondary market is unusually high. The get-in price for the show is $52. In previous years for SummerSlam, WWE has sold out the same building nearly instantly. You know, I don't want to shit on WWE for this because of the reasons that I just mentioned to you. It's early. There's not really a card announced, but there really wasn't a card announced for anything that they do. If they announced Barclays Center for SummerSlam was here for 4 or 5 straight years. WWE really didn't announce anything. They usually don't. Their builds for SummerSlam, especially their biggest shows, usually are some of the worst builds that WWE has all year. And I feel like it's more to do with the current state of the product right now. Now, granted, SmackDown at Madison Square Garden was a very good show. WWE has all the resources to put on a show like that every single week, but they don't. Seems like they want to do it when they want to do it, when they absolutely are in dire need of doing it. The product is piss warm right now. It is fucking garbage. Garbage. This show isn't generating any interest. This show is not really exciting at all. This show, even with the draft, and I'll get to that in a little bit, is not going to really make any difference whatsoever. WWE right now, their product is not good, and people know that. Their product is not good, and people are not going to shell out money to go and sit there for a show that they know there's no real excitement around. There's another player in the game called AEW, and they got some pretty big fucking stars over there, man. They may have the best roster in all professional wrestling right now. That's where the money ticket is. That is what people are going to spend their money on because of consistency. They got the momentum right now. Their weekly shows hit a home run every single fucking week. You got your duds thrown in there, but no show is perfect every fucking week. But the consistency of Dynamite is going to sell out everything else that they do because fans know that they're going to get their money's worth when they go see AEW just based off the product that they're putting on television. And it doesn't hurt at all with AEW and their current pay-per-view model for an all-out, sold out instantly, no matter if it's in Chicago or not. Double or Nothing, sold out. Full Gear, it's going to be the same thing in Minneapolis. Why is it going to sell out? Because AEW only has 4 pay-per-views all year. If you miss it, you got to wait till next year. If you miss it, the next pay-per-view isn't until the end of February. But it all goes down and it all is based on the show that they give every single Wednesday with Dynamite. You are more prone to be spending your money on something that you know is going to deliver. Watch Raw and watch SmackDown on a weekly basis. Why would you pay money to go watch these pay-per-views in person knowing that what you're getting every fucking week is trash? People aren't stupid. They're waking up. And now there's serious competition where people are going to much rather give their money to AEW than WWE. When WWE gets on that consistency again and starts producing good shows every fucking week, then people will be more happy to spend their money on their product. But they're not here right now. I feel like with this rumor of The Rock coming in, if WWE can get The Rock, and if WWE is still in this same boat 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, after Crown Jewel, you can absolutely guarantee that the WWE is going to announce Dwayne Johnson making a special appearance for his anniversary at Survivor Series. And that alone will sell the building out. But it sucks that WWE has to go to those lengths. It really does suck. WWE needs to rely on The Rock to sell tickets for their show when they should be relying on current talent, building new stars, having them headline the show, building the show around them. Let's bring in Dwayne Johnson and we'll sell the show out. How do you feel if you're Dwayne Johnson? Yo, Vince, what are you doing? How do you feel if you're Vince McMahon? I don't think he gives a shit. How do you feel if you're that active roster? Why do we need somebody like this to sell the show out? This goes to show you that they're not putting enough resources into their current roster. It's a very ugly situation. It really is. And WWE should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. They need to start building new stars, and they need more consistent television. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in this situation. Survivor Series is going to be fine. We'll kind of reassess this situation after Crown Jewel, but WWE more than likely is trying to get The Rock for Survivor Series, and if that's the case, that show's going to instantly sell out, and those secondary tickets, they're going to go for triple the amount of money, and that's exactly what they're probably honing in on. Some of these people probably are clued in. Oh, WWE may be bringing in The Rock. Let's buy him up and then sell him for 3-4 times the price. It's a very ugly situation. Shane McMahon. If you read the reports this week, everybody thought this was an ugly situation in itself. Shane McMahon is no longer involved with World Wrestling Entertainment. Wrestling Inc. and Fightful are reporting that the word going around on Shane McMahon is that he is no longer involved with WWE. Wrestling Inc. reported that he's no longer under contract, but WWE insists that he is still a WWE talent and under a performer's contract. It was also noted that he is rarely seen at Titan Tower, the WWE offices in Stamford, Connecticut, anymore. It's unclear what this means for his future in the pro wrestling business, but this has happened time and time again. McMahon stepped away in 2009 and had no involvement in WWE until he returned in 2016. During his return, he was only contracted as a talent and not part of management. When he left in 2019, it was reportedly because of a falling out with Vince McMahon. Now, the Godfather, yes, Pimpin' Hoes Nationwide Godfather, recently stated that Shane McMahon owns a cannabis co-op in California, so he has his hand in other businesses away from WWE. In response to the story about Shane McMahon's lack of involvement with World Wrestling Entertainment, this is from Wrestling Inc. and Fightful, a WWE source reached out and said that Shane's relationship with his father is very good. The WWE source says, I know that fans want to think that there's some friction between Shane and Vince McMahon, but their relationship is great. When Shane returned in 2016, it was agreed by everybody that he would only work as a talent. That is what Shane wanted. Shane has other business interests. It was never a secret that he wasn't involved in the business side of WWE. The source said that while Shane and Vince did have a falling out in 2009, and that led to Shane leaving WWE, they patched things up long before Shane returned in 2016. You know, a lot of people think with Vince McMahon stepping away whenever he decides to step away, that Shane McMahon would be the one person in the family that they'd want to see take over WWE. And I honestly think, with how young Shane McMahon is, I do think that Shane McMahon has a better finger on the pulse than almost everybody in his family. And I'm including Stephanie in that, even though she's married to Triple H and has seen what Triple H has done with NXT. Vince McMahon and his team don't have a fucking clue. They don't have their finger on the pulse. They don't know how to create new talent. They don't know the type of talent that they actually have on their roster right now. Their ideas are shit. Everything is just Vince, and what he wants. And meanwhile, he's abandoning everything that the fans want. And the current product sucks. There's too much quantity over quality. Their pay-per-view model sucks. Raw is 3 hours. It's fucking horrendous television every week. SmackDown is no better. If they didn't have Roman Reigns, it'd be the same shit. There's a laundry list of things that are wrong with WWE, and this is one of the reasons why nobody is fucking watching. But Shane McMahon, if Shane McMahon had more interest in the management side of things, or I should say, let me rephrase, if WWE had more interest in giving Shane McMahon more management responsibilities and gave him something to really sink his teeth into and have his influence on it, I honestly think it would be a lot better than what we're getting now. The only other person in that family that I would trust doing anything is Triple H, because we've seen what he's done with NXT before WWE fucking killed it. I would trust Shane McMahon. I really would. But Shane McMahon, just like everybody else, cannot have any influence from Vince, Bruce, Kevin Dunn, John Laurinaitis, or anybody else that's associated with Vince McMahon's circus of geeks. He needs to run the show on his own, with his own team, has his own mindset and mentality going into it. He can't be influenced by outside sources because that is going to be counterproductive. It's the only thing that really makes sense for him to run the show himself. If you put Shane McMahon in there, but you're having outside influence from everybody else, including Vince and Bruce Pritchard, it's not as if we don't get this every fucking week with the people that are in place now. It's just going to be Shane McMahon running the show for Vince McMahon the way Vince McMahon wants it, not the way Shane McMahon wants it. You got to let him run the show. And he hasn't been involved since he's come back. He has done nothing managerial-wise, upper management-wise since 2016. Why do you think that is? Why do you think their relationship is great? The only way to salvage a great relationship with his father is to not get in his way. If Shane wanted to run WWE in a different way, if he had ideas that he brought to the table and he addressed all of the issues with Vince McMahon, his relationship wouldn't be great. He knows he's going nowhere. He knows that whatever he says will have no bearing on anything that happens. So Shane McMahon gave up trying. He knows his father's not going to listen. He knows his father only listens to the people that he appoints. Yes, men. He doesn't even listen to his own son. He would take the ideas of Bruce, Kevin Dunn, and John Laurinaitis and Nick Khanman over his own son's ideas. I remember, I'll never forget it. I don't know where I read it, but I read a report from one of the dirt sheets, and I believe it wholeheartedly to be 100% correct. Vince McMahon's grandchildren watch the show, and they give their critique to Vince McMahon. He don't even listen to his own grandchildren. He's going to listen to his own fucking son? Look at what he did to his son-in-law. This is a monster that needs to be stopped because the shows are never going to get better or be the way that we need them to be. Shane McMahon stepped away because he was fighting a battle he knew he wasn't going to win. So go make your money somewhere else. Wait till things get a little worse. Maybe come on back. Maybe if you have an inkling of an idea when your father is going to step down, then maybe you can step in and maybe have some sort of influence there. But he knew this was a battle he was never going to win. So why even bother? Go make your money somewhere else. Go worry about your other business ventures. When Vince wants to call you for a WrestleMania and have that McMahon influence on the show and he wants you to dive off a fucking 20-foot steel cage, he'll be right back to WWE. But this was a battle he was never going to win. I don't blame him for stepping away whatsoever. Nick Khan, he's a regular presence backstage at WWE Raw and SmackDown. It was noted on Saturday, this past Saturday, by WrestleVotes, that WWE President Nick Khan was backstage at Friday Night SmackDown. Nick Khan is one of the most powerful people in the company and has been credited for making some big revenue-generating deals for World Wrestling Entertainment. Some have also credited or blamed him for a lot of the cost-cutting this year that is designed to boost the company's profit margins. Khan's appearance backstage at SmackDown is said to not be an uncommon occurrence. Ringside News is reporting that Khan has been also seen backstage a lot at WWE TVs lately, and he's becoming a regular fixture backstage, so seeing him is not something that is out of the ordinary. A tenured member of the creative team told Ringside News that Khan being there is not a big deal. Nick Khan reportedly travels with Vince McMahon so that they can take care of business during their trips based on the quarterly earnings report and all of the power that Khan has in the company. It seems like Vince McMahon is very happy with the job he is doing. I mentioned this on Friday's podcast for SmackDown, not this past Friday, not yesterday, but the week prior. You know, I don't know why people aren't saying this isn't a big deal. Ringside News said their source said that it wasn't a big deal that Nick Khan was backstage, but it is absolutely a big deal. It is absolutely a big deal because if you're somebody on the roster and Nick Khan, I don't know what his stance on the roster was. I don't know if he knew who was on the roster, if he knew a Chad Gable from a fucking Cesaro or a Cesaro from, anybody else on the roster. I don't know if he knew these people by name and face, or if he just seen them on a piece of paper. I don't know if he really is ingrained in the product to know what's going on a day-to-day creative basis. But having him backstage cannot be a good thing. With this roster already walking on eggshells, with Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard and them not being filled in on anything, late-minute plans, scripts being ripped up, last-minute changes, this and that, Vince McMahon angry, deep pushing this one, killing this push, killing this division, this champion losing on TV. It's a fucking mess. It's a fucking mess. I don't know why it's said that it's not a big deal. If you're somebody on that roster and you're somebody that is not being used, and Nick Khan becomes a little bit more apparent of this every single week, and he starts asking questions. The next time that Vince McMahon and Nick Khan and Bruce Pritchard and all these upper management shills need to sit down and start going over cost-cutting measures once again, because there's going to be another Black Wednesday or a Black Friday in WWE, and you're one of those talents that's sitting backstage not being used, like a Shotzi Blackheart, like a Tegan Knox, like a Toni Storm, and the list goes on and on. If you're one of those talents backstage and Nick Khan is there every week and you're off TV 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row and you're not being used, that is going to register in his head, and he's going to bring your name up to Vince McMahon. Well, why are we not using this person? I'd like to cut this person as far as budget cut reasons. Let's save here, let's save there, let's save on Raw, let's save on SmackDown, let's cut this one, cut that one. That can't be a good feeling. So if you're not being used and you're a talent not being used on this show as of late, with him being a little bit more regular backstage, that's a fucking worrisome feeling. That's something that I would not want floating around my locker room. So yes, it is a big deal. He might not be there. He might not be there for any creative reasons, but he's obviously there to keep a mindful eye on everything, and the more he's there, the more he's going to know. This is why they went down to NXT. This is why they went down to the Performance Center. Look at what happened when they walked down there. It only took one trip. One trip. And Bronson Reed and everybody else during that fucking night was fired. One trip. Departments were cut. Departments were merged. Production team was cut. They went down there and had a fucking fire sale. So if you don't think that's going to happen with him being backstage more, you're a fucking fool. If you're someone on that roster, I would be terrified. And you're already walking on eggshells and are already frustrated with your current stance because creative sucks. Now you can add Nick Khan to the equation. Not a good feeling. Not a good feeling. That is a big deal. The draft. WWE internally is all set with the draft. Now, again, I'm recording this at 4 p.m. on Friday afternoon. We're not at SmackDown yet. I have no idea who's moving where. I have no idea what's happening or what the whole procedure is for the draft. I don't know who gets first pick or how many rounds there are or if WWE's added any new rules to the draft since last year. I don't know. I don't know anything about the draft. But internally, the draft is all set by WWE management. I find that to be a crock of shit because shit changes by the minute in WWE. But according to Ringside News, the draft is all set internally. Now, it was previously reported that the key players in the draft, the bigger superstars who are going to be, on their respective brands, Raw and SmackDown, and those people, they were already decided on for a brand, and the networks were informed of these individuals moving or staying put. So the guys like Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, those types of names, all the elite names have already been determined on what brand they're going to be part of, and the networks were already informed. So Ringside News is also reporting that WWE has lied to Fox in the past about which superstars they will be getting. Ringside News asked about the current status of the 2021 draft, and they were told that the draft is all set and the networks know about the rosters moving into the show on Friday and on Monday. We will have to see which superstars get shuffled around, how many get shuffled around, but the company has landed on their decisions at this time. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And the fact that WWE has lied, you're probably asking, lied? What do you mean? WWE's previously swerved Fox with their draft plans. Now, Meltzer reported that Fox and USA, he backed this up, are aware of the key names that will be traded or drafted. So presumably they know which top names they are getting this Friday. So USA knows and Fox Network knows what top names will be a part of their brand. It was also stated by Meltzer that there are plans to freshen up both rosters by moving some NXT names up to Raw and SmackDown. I will go over those names in a second. However, it should be noted that the plans always change, and even the TV networks are not immune to having things switched up on them. During the Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez noted how there were certain names advertised for the Fox debut in 2019, but plans changed. Alvarez says this, and I quote, "Before the Fox debut, before they were getting ready to do the draft, they actually aired Fox commercials with certain superstars. I believe Charlotte might have been one of them. I forget the others, but the point is that Fox was sure they were getting certain talents because they were told by WWE that they were getting them. Then Vince changed the plan, and then they did the draft, and then the networks didn't get who they were promised. So they don't think, it's going to be a situation where when Vince says it, it's actually going to happen. There's a little hesitation there. So don't think that just because they told Fox and USA Network, this is who you get in the draft, and they can't change it, think again. So Fox, I think, kind of knows, based on what is being told here by Brian Alvarez. I think Fox is kind of in the know. Well, you fucked us last time in 2019, and now we're doing this shit again. I think they're up on what Vince McMahon is doing and how he operates. And USA Network should know. They deal with this shit. How long have they been dealing with this shit with Monday Night Raw? So it's going to be very interesting. There's a couple of names that seem like sure bets to be moving during the WWE draft. I got my list of people who I think should go where. We'll go over that in a second. But Fox, I think, is kind of in the know. They have already expressed frustration, and Sapp and Fightful have reported that WWE and Fox and their relationship isn't really rocky, but Fox is kind of disappointed with the way the number is with SmackDown. They've been above a 2.2, 2.3 for the last couple of weeks. The demo looks really good. They're usually number one for the night on cable. But Fox was expecting 3s and 4s. You know, I was expecting 3s on Fox. And WWE has taken a long time just to get where they are now with the ratings. You see Lesnar back. Roman Reigns is still doing his thing. He's obviously the biggest name in the company when a Lesnar is not there or when a Cena is not there. Lesnar, Reigns, Lynch, right? They got all these big names back. So WWE's been consistent with the ratings. That doesn't mean that they're putting on good shows. But the ratings should be higher. And the ratings would be higher if WWE got rid of certain aspects of their show and made SmackDown feel a little bit more important every single week. And I'm going to go over all that in just a little bit. Rematches every week. We don't see any fresh talent. It's the same shit every week. There's nothing new about this show. And the same goes for Monday Night Raw. Rematches every single week. Why isn't WWE growing their audience? Because they don't care to make things stand out on a week-to-week basis. They're basically booking week by week just to get the number that they're getting. That's all they care about. As long as we're here, we're fine. In their eyes. But Fox wants more. This is why a draft doesn't make any sense. This is why the brand split should go away. I don't think a brand split is needed anymore. I don't. I really don't. WWE has how many fucking writers you can write for Raw and SmackDown and have them be different every single week without the cripple effect of a goddamn draft? There's certain things about these shows that I do not like. And that is apparent for 52 weeks out of the year until we get to a draft weekend. And then things change for about 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks tops. And then they go right back to being the way that they were before the draft. It's disgusting. This is a rinse and repeat cycle that WWE is in. Nothing ever changes for the better with these drafts. Nothing. WWE is including NXT in the draft. I'm happy to know that, but there really isn't much that's left on Tuesday night, or remnants of what was left from Triple H's NXT that currently exists right now on NXT 2.0, which, by the way, I fell asleep on Thursday night in bed watching NXT 2.0 this past week. What an awful fucking show. What an awful show. I think the best thing on the show was the performance by that one guy, Waller something, against Roderick Strong for the Cruiserweight Championship. That was a good match. He impressed the shit out of me. That was a very good match. Other than that, NXT 2.0, man, is throwing so much shit out the wall right now, and it ain't working. They're clearly high on Rex Steiner. Clearly, he's taking the title off of Tommaso Ciampa. They're high on a couple of other talent. That Zion guy, that Samoan guy, he looks very Vince McMahon-ish. I can see him on the main roster in a year, 2 years max. He's going to be a big deal. Plus, he's Samoan, and he's got a great look. He's going to be on the main roster sooner rather than later. Everything else on this show, I don't really know what WWE is doing. They got Von Wagner over there. He is a big deal in Vince McMahon's eyes as well. It's going to be a process. But what they're doing right now is not good at all. It is not good at all. They had a sit-down talk show segment with Lash Legend. Probably asking yourself, JD, who the fuck is Lash Legend? Lashing out with Lash Legend? What a ridiculous fucking talk show. If I want a talk show, I'll go watch fucking Maury Povich. At least I'll get some fucking entertainment out of it. Are you serious? Totally shit on Tuesday night. And the reason why I didn't cover NXT on Tuesday night, I'll be back at it on Tuesday because apparently they got something going on Tuesday night. But I was in Philadelphia on Tuesday, and I was out with a couple of buddies. We went to one of my favorite breweries, and we were hanging around the city. And I didn't get to watch NXT till Thursday, but I'll be right back at it on Tuesday next week. So I didn't get watching NXT till Thursday. So it was one of those deals. But you could watch the show and see what WWE is thinking about doing with the draft. rumored call-ups. Andrew Zarian had previously reported that there has been talk of Hit Row getting called up to the main roster, and he since added LA Knight to the list of people being talked about for a draft call-up to Raw or SmackDown. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer wrote down names like Dakota Kai, Xia Li, and Aaliyah. Those were the names he mentioned about moving up to the main roster. And people in the company believed that they could be on their way to Raw or SmackDown. Now, Xia Li, Dakota Kai, and Aaliyah have been working main roster dark matches as of late for the last month and a half, and they have not been seen on NXT for a while. Dakota Kai, she lost to Raquel Gonzalez. We haven't seen her since. Xia Li, last time we saw her, Raquel Gonzalez finished her. We haven't seen her on NXT at all either. And Aaliyah, ever since she split from Robert Stone, and Robert Stone is now following around Frankie Monet, we haven't seen her on the show either. So they could absolutely all be in discussion for a main roster call-up. The other name that I would absolutely put into this list is Frankie Monet. I think Frankie Monet should be added to the list. I think Frankie Monet should be on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, wherever John Morrison ends up. I think putting them together would be a major deal. I think it would give not only Morrison something to do, but I think it would give Frankie Monet something to do as well, and they could be a nice power couple on either Raw or SmackDown. So I'm adding Frankie Monet to that list as well. LA Knight, I don't know how you can't book him on the main roster. I was not a fan of Eli Drake at all. For some reason, what he's doing in NXT is a little bit of the same thing he was doing with Eli Drake, but I don't watch Impact. Maybe I didn't get the full package of what Eli Drake brought to the table, but I'm loving what he did with Cameron Grimes, and I'm loving what he's doing with NXT. So having LA Knight on a Raw and SmackDown, he could either be an IC title, US title guy, or if you really want to push the boundaries, man, he could be a great main event heel. He would go a long way in doing that, man. I could see him doing either one of those two divisions. He's ready to go. I'd absolutely call up Cameron Grimes. I'd call up Cameron Grimes as well. I'd put him with Happy Corbin. Pair him with Happy Corbin, man. They got similar gimmicks, and Happy Corbin needs a nice little group of guys. They already added Riddick Moss, so why not pair Cameron Grimes with Happy Corbin? There you go. At least he's got some direction, and they're all similar. I don't know where this Riddick Moss thing is going with Happy Corbin, but he just made his return on SmackDown last week. I'm calling those names up. Now, clearly, you heard me say those names, and clearly did not hear me say Hit Row. If Hit Row goes to the main roster, you can add an S in front of Hit Row and make them Shit Row. Because that's exactly what they're going to be. Add an S in front of Hit Row, and you're going to get what they're going to be on the main roster. Shit Row. You mean to tell me that Vince and his merry band of fucking geeks in creative, you think Bruce Pritchard, running creative, is going to sit there and write for Hit Row? They were given a very short leash on NXT when we first seen them. And then Triple H said, you know what? I can't write for these guys. I can't book these guys. Let them go out there and do what they got to do. That leash got a little bit longer because he realized, I'm not with it with the culture. I don't know what's going on. Let them go out there and do their thing and let them appeal to who they have to appeal to. They'll get on the show and they'll really nail it home with what they're trying to do. People will like them. People won't like them. But it's going to be up to them to get it over. And I loved that aspect. I really did. B-Fab and Swerve Scott and Nodala and Ashante the Adonis, they all hit a home run. They all hit a home run with what they were doing. But can you imagine these guys being written for on the main roster where nobody has that leverage? I don't see it. And that's only one aspect of it all. I watched B-Fab on Tuesday night against Electra Lopez of Legado del Fantasma. She ain't ready to be in the ring, folks. B-Fab is not ready to be in a wrestling ring. They masked everything that they could with a no DQ stipulation. That girl can't wrestle. She is nowhere near ready. And Elektra Lopez didn't look too good either. She's a little bit more further along than B-Fab, but you cannot bring B-Fab to the main roster. You can't bring $0 to the main roster. He is absolutely nowhere near ready. The only ones that are ready are Adonis and Swerve. That's it. That's it. So how can you call up Shit Row when only 2 of the 4 are ready to go? Swerve can get called up. You can't call up one and not the other. If you're going to call up one, you got to call up all 4. They are not ready. You want to rebrand NXT as NXT 2.0. This is the group that needs to be on the vision of what you got with NXT now. Why would you bring them up knowing that they're not ready to go? Yes, let's please take the North American Championship off of Swerve Scott. You did the same fucking thing with Bronson Reed. Do you have anybody in line to take that title off of him? Has he done anything with the fucking title? For him to drop the title and have it mean something so it goes to the next guy. This isn't the IC title. This isn't the US title. This title at least had some fucking prestige when Triple H was there. Now it's got no value at all. It's got no dollar. That's the value. You can't bring these guys up. Are you fucking serious? That would be one of the dumbest fucking moves they could make all year. All year. I do not want to see them called up to Raw or SmackDown. And whose fault is that? Because you got these guys that are going to appeal to a youthful, young, vibrant, different demographic, right? You want to put them on Raw or SmackDown. SmackDown's demos are anywhere between a 5 and a 6. Their demo numbers are fine. But don't you think WWE is in the mindset of, well, we need some cool factor on this show. People are watching our show and they don't associate it with it being cool. How much of this is a political move for WWE? I'd say more than you care to really admit. How much of this move is a political move compared to a roster necessity? This is more political move than anything. WWE definitely wants to appeal to a youthful, younger demographic, and they feel they could get what they want with Hit Row. Meanwhile, Hit Row is not even ready to be there. They are at least 2-3 years out from being ready. Not Swerve, because Swerve is fucking great. Everybody else, forget about it. Forget about it. Oh, they'll learn on the fly. They'll learn on the go. They'll learn after Swerve. No, you call them up when all 4 of them are ready to go. That's exactly the reason for this move. And I don't want to hear anything from anybody, period. WWE's lackadaisical, reckless thinking never has the roster in mind, never has the talent in mind. If it benefits them and their ratings and their seeking of desperate fucking attempts, that's all they care about. That's all they care about. Never do they make a decision that is best for the talent. This goes into that fucking little group of ideas. Give me a break. Shit Row should remain in NXT. Because if they go to the main roster, you can kiss all of them goodbye. All of them. Top Dollar can't wrestle. B-Fab can't wrestle. Ashante, he's decent. No, I haven't seen enough of him. I know he was a fixture on 205 Live. And Swerve. I love Swerve. Don't get me wrong. But Swerve is basically another Ricochet that's a little bit more with the culture. He's a little bit more, I would say, out there. Ricochet is just vanilla. Ricochet, I get why WWE isn't pushing Ricochet. I don't understand it. I don't know why. I don't like it. But what Ricochet can do, Swerve can do, and vice versa. If Ricochet can't get over, you think Swerve is going to have any fucking attempt on the main roster? Give me a fucking break, man. You got to be out of your fucking mind. They failed one. How easy is it for them to fail him too? Give me a break. WWE with the draft. These are the names that are going to potentially be moved. Now, I came up with a list, a mock draft of everything that's going on. All the names, all of the possible moves that I like to see made. And you guys know where I stand on this. If I was in charge, I would not be having a draft, and I would not be having a fucking brand split. I think the brand split is something that has seen its time. It's seen its day. It did not get the job done. It doesn't make television any more interesting. I feel like it is just hindering creative at this point. I really do. WWE has 2 women's championships. We only need 1. WWE has 2 men's tag team championships. We only need 1. WWE has 2 world championships. We only need 1. The Universal Championship was created because WWE needed a main championship for the other brand. The WWE Championship should always be looked at as the top prize in the industry. That has now been taken over by the AEW World Championship. Because there's no level of prestige that the WWE titles have more so than the AEW Championship, just based on the way that they're booked on television. Roman has made the Universal Championship feel like the greatest championship in all professional wrestling, but that's Roman Reigns. What happens after Roman Reigns? What happened before Roman Reigns? Exactly. The draft is something that I would do away with. The draft itself is nothing more than a ratings ploy to get WWE the ratings that they require. Last year, WWE tried to shill the draft, or the last time we got the draft, WWE tried to shill it to the networks. It didn't really work. It was a flop. WWE uses it as a ratings grab or an attempt at a ratings grab. Meanwhile, they don't plan anything. There's no planning that goes into it. It's not special. It comes off just like a regular other show. WWE always mixes and matches talent from the other brand, so it gives them the opportunity to include Raw superstars on SmackDown and SmackDown superstars on Raw. Their easy way, it's their easy in to make it a super show, right? Oh, look, Raw SmackDown guys, Raw Superstar. I don't know why I keep calling it Raw SmackDown. Raw and SmackDown guys on the same show. Raw Superstars on SmackDown. Oh, look at us. Look at this. Look how important this is. Everybody's on deck. All hands on deck. No, I don't like that at all. I think that's a lame way to go about it. This is what it usually should be every single week. Raw and SmackDown combined. WWE has not made the draft feel important. WWE hasn't talked about the draft all year, besides what we saw on commercial on Monday Night Raw. Hey, guys, we got a draft coming up. Thanks for filling me in for the last couple of months. Thanks for letting fans know that it's coming, that we got to get ready for it. They don't do anything. It happens the week of, and then they plan for 5 days, and then they do on Friday, and then they do on Raw, and that's it. That's it. Absolutely zero effort into everything that they do, especially the draft. It should be an entire weekend. It should really mimic what we see with an NBA draft, with an NFL draft, with it should really be a sports-like environment. It really should be a sports-like environment. Everybody should be sitting down at tables. You should have executives and management, and they're all sitting behind their war desk, and, they have whoever comes up to the podium announce who's making the first draft. Who makes the first draft pick? Who makes the first draft pick? Has that been decided? Now, I don't know how they're doing it because it's on SmackDown. Does SmackDown get the first draft pick? Why does SmackDown get the first draft pick? How come Raw doesn't have an opportunity to take that draft pick away from SmackDown? How come NXT doesn't have a draft pick at the top? NXT could have a draft pick at the top. They don't do it. They don't put any effort into anything. WWE should really make something happen during the year, whether it's Survivor Series. What happens at Survivor Series should lead and be pertinent to what happens in the draft the following October. So if Survivor Series is happening this year, and we're getting this brand versus brand warfare, and Raw versus SmackDown is a thing, if SmackDown beats Raw in the men's Survivor Series match, then they get the draft pick. Simple. It's a very simple thing. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. Or there should be a representative from one brand and another representative from another brand, and that match should really be a Raw versus SmackDown match. It doesn't have to be in the men's Survivor Series match, because then what do you do with the women? You got to give them some importance as well. In fact, I've talked about this. You could have the men's Survivor Series match have implications of a world championship opportunity. Same thing goes for the women if they're not going to end the brand split. But WWE should absolutely have representatives, and you should really make it important. Have the roster sit down together and talk about who they want being the representative of their brand to battle the other guy's representative in a SmackDown versus Raw match, which would give them the number one draft pick in the draft. And that would happen on Friday and Monday. Not because Friday is SmackDown show and they get the number one draft, and then we get to Monday and Raw gets the number one draft pick and 3 draft picks over 2. No, doesn't work that. That's lame. That is absolutely fucking lame. That's the way it should be. I need to know why someone gets the number one draft pick. I need to know why there aren't trades being made. WWE could trade superstars. In fact, WWE sent Mandy Rose down to NXT 2.0. Before it was NXT 2.0, Mandy Rose got sent down to NXT. Did we hear anything about who she was traded for? Why 1 week we see her on Raw, and then the next week we see her in NXT? Was there a trade made? Trades should happen on a yearly basis. Trades should happen during the year. I don't understand why WWE doesn't fully embrace the fact that you have 2 separate rosters. I don't get it. WWE doesn't use this to make their pay-per-views feel important either. I've documented this time and time again. How lame does Survivor Series look, and how lame does Survivor Series feel knowing that WWE has come up with a draft this week, and then everybody's got a battle in the Survivor Series, and some of those people are going to be drafted to another brand and then compete on that brand's Survivor Series team. But you were on the other brand for 11 months out of the year, so where is your brand loyalty? Why are you going to show allegiance to a brand that you've been with a month over a brand that you've been with all year, but you just got drafted to the other side in October? Because WWE has to have a draft. WWE has to do Raw versus SmackDown at the Survivor Series. WWE doesn't play up the brand versus brand warfare. They don't play up the fact of Raw and SmackDown being separate brands. They want to constantly break their own fucking rules. Brand to brand invitational, the fucking wild card rule. They break their own fucking rules. It's as if there is no fucking draft or brand split. So why is the draft going to mean anything? This is what I call lazy. Lazy. There's no effort that goes into it. No effort. We should have meaning all throughout the year. King of the Ring should be Raw versus SmackDown. Money in the Bank should be Raw versus SmackDown. You got all these fucking shows coming up now with Survivor Series, and you got TLC, you got Royal Rumble, you got Elimination Chamber. I don't understand you people. Why don't you use these shows to build competitive aspects between Raw and SmackDown? I've documented this time and time and time again. If the Queen's Crown tournament doesn't include Raw versus SmackDown, what's the fucking point? If the King of the Ring doesn't include Raw versus SmackDown, what's the fucking point? If Survivor Series has Raw versus SmackDown and there's no reward for the brand winning, what is the fucking point? And how do you expect people to care when you haven't documented that all year? Why don't you use that Survivor Series match for the men and women to fill your Money in the Bank or ladder matches, TLC, for the TLC show? Got a men's ladder match and a women's ladder match. The women's team, they get put into the ladder match. The men's Survivor Series team that wins gets put into the ladder match. The winner of that ladder match gets a number one contendership for the WWE or Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. Have the Royal Rumble Final 4 or Final 10, whatever the fuck you want to do. Have those guys, Final 12, whatever. Use those guys and build your Elimination Chamber around it. Make the Chamber feel important. Have the Rumble lead to the Chamber. Have the Chamber mean something going into WrestleMania. If a SmackDown guy wins the Royal Rumble, then the Chamber is Raw. If a Raw guy wins the Royal Rumble, then the SmackDown Chamber is SmackDown. I don't understand this shit. I don't get it. WWE doesn't have any fun with anything. Why don't we do Money in the Bank 4 versus 4 at Money in the Bank pay-per-view? Why don't we get 4 qualifying matches on SmackDown and 4 qualifying matches on Raw? You do 8 guys in the fucking thing anyway. Why not have one ladder match and all these guys are battling it out? Then when Survivor Series comes around, oh, a SmackDown guy won the Royal Rumble. Oh, a Raw guy won the Money in the Bank. Oh, a Raw guy won the King of the Ring. Oh, a Raw woman won the Queen's Crown tournament. At least you'd get to Survivor Series and Raw would have some fucking bragging rights for the Survivor Series. Am I making any sense here? Why is it so easy for me to talk about this, but it's so difficult for them to execute? You got 2 separate rosters. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. That's my rant. Let's go over the draft. Tag team division. These are the tag teams that right now currently sit in WWE. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. Very excited to see where these two go. I think they got the makeup of a great tag team. Plus, Humberto was going nowhere by himself, and Angel Garza was going absolutely nowhere but free agency. Because he was not going to resign with the company. Now they're finally using him. They got a makeup of a good tag team. So I'm very excited to see where they go. Garza and Humberto Carrillo, number 1. Street Profits. Everybody loves the Street Profits. I think they're awesome. Viking Raiders. Rated RK Bro. Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. Mansoor and Ali. The New Day. The Usos. The Alpha Academy. And regretfully, I put there Mace and T-Bar. I would break this team up, move T-Bar into the mid-card, rename him Dominic Dijakovic. Or Vince McMahon wants to have fun by butchering his name, Dijakovic. Move Mace back down to NXT 2.0 and have Dijakovic on the main roster. But here I regretfully put, because I don't see them doing that, because they don't value either of these guys, Mace and T-Bar in the tag team division. 10 tag teams. No matter how you book this draft, 5 and 5. I don't give a shit what you do. I don't give a shit where you put these guys. 5 tag teams is not a division. It's not. You'll be running rematches after 4 weeks, max. You don't want that. So what I'm doing is I'm merging the fucking divisions. I'm having this tag team division exist on both shows. I'm having Raw matches on SmackDown, and I'm having SmackDown matches on Raw. I'm getting rid of one championship. In fact, at the Survivor Series, I'd have a fucking unification match between Rated RK Bro and who are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions? The Usos. That's what I'm doing at Survivor Series. I'm having a unification match at Survivor Series. One team takes all. And then you merge the divisions. 5 teams is not a division. Imagine the different matches that we would get. We'd get Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. As long as they're a team, then you could put them on either brand, depending on what you got to do there. You'd have Rated RK Bro on SmackDown. You'd have Rated RK Bro versus the Street Profits. The Viking Raiders versus Alpha Academy. Mansoor and Ali versus the Street Profits. Garza and Carrillo versus Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. These matches would give fresh matches to Raw and SmackDown every single week just because they aren't confined to one show. You can't call a tag team division a division when there's only 5 teams. Give me a fucking break. That's the way you do it. Unification match at Survivor Series, and you have all 10 of these teams. I know I'm probably missing the Lucha House Party, but I didn't include them because they've asked for their release, so I'm not including them. WWE ain't doing shit with them anyway. They'll probably be granted their release. But I'd have all 10 of these teams floating back and forth on Raw and SmackDown. At least you get tag team matches. And how many times does WWE take their little fucking division that exists on either show, 4 or 5 teams, how many times do they book a match at a pay-per-view and the build for the tag team match includes, for example, Montez Ford versus Jey Uso, Angelo Dawkins versus Jimmy Uso. Then we get those tag team title matches happening on SmackDown, and then we get to the pay-per-view match. But at that point, we would have seen it 4 different times already. Come on, man. You got to make sense of it. You got to make fucking sense of it. The women's division. I would say the same thing about the women's division, but with all the names, we're looking at something that could absolutely thrive with 2 women's championships. And I've said this before in the past. WWE should not have 2 women's championships, but looking at the names that exist, I'm not asking you guys to pinpoint who's being used best, or, oh, this one's not being used, or I don't see this as a championship contender, whatever. There's 28 names right now in this women's division combined with Raw and SmackDown. If you do 14 each, that is a solid number. Even if you do more on SmackDown than you do on Raw. You want to do 15 on one show, 13 on the other? Fine. As long as it ends up balanced. Look at this women's roster. Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Asuka, Rhea Ripley, Nikki Trash, Carmella, Liv Morgan, Naomi, Zelina Vega, Natalya, Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Nox, Toni Storm, Mia Yim, Tamina Snuka. Mia Yim is MIA. I have no fucking clue where she is. I doubt she's even going to be used in this fucking draft. I don't know. Mia Yim, Tamina Snuka, Shayna Baszler, Doudrop, Alexa Bliss, Eva Marie, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Sonya Deville, Xia Li, Aaliyah, and Dakota Kai. Now, I'm going to include, as I'm going to add this here, Frankie Monet. I think we are going to add her there because I feel like she would be a great addition to the main roster. If you pair her with John Morrison, her real-life husband. It's a lot of names. Where are we going to disperse these talents? This is what I got. Let me know if you guys think about this, and let me know if you feel I made a good move with the moves I'm about to tell you. Charlotte Flair. She's the Raw Women's Champion. She's not losing it before the draft. She stays on Raw. She ain't going nowhere. So it's a avoided draft pick. She's not going anywhere. I don't even know why she would be in the draft. She's got the Raw Women's Championship. The Raw Women's Champion can't go to the other show unless she lost the Raw Women's Championship. So she stays on Raw. I don't know why it would end up being a fucking draft pick. I really don't. You can change the Universal and the WWE title, just got to use the red title instead of the blue. So if you want Reigns on Raw, you could certainly do that. If you want Big E on SmackDown, you could certainly do that. Charlotte Flair to Raw. Sasha Banks. I'm putting her on Monday Night Raw, man. I think Sasha Banks has done everything that you could possibly do on SmackDown. I know it puts her on the same brand as Charlotte, but that doesn't mean you got to use Charlotte and Sasha together in a program. Becky Lynch is the SmackDown Women's Champion. She obviously stays on SmackDown. Bayley. I'm keeping Bayley on SmackDown. I'm moving Bayley to SmackDown and Sasha to Raw just to get them away from each other. I think Bayley working with a Becky. I think Bayley working with an Asuka would make sense. Bayley working with a Rhea Ripley would make sense. Bayley working with a Mia Yim would make sense. A Shotzi Blackheart. This is what I'm thinking. Fresh matchups. Bayley to SmackDown. She stays. Bianca Belair. I'm moving her to Raw. I'm moving Bianca to Raw because she's not beating Becky. She's done the Bayley thing and she's done the Becky Lynch thing. She's not beating Becky Lynch. She's not. I'm sorry. Whoever thinks Bianca Belair is beating Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship, you are a fool. Move Bianca to Monday Night Raw. You got Charlotte there. That's a fresh matchup. WWE could do Bianca and Charlotte. Charlotte's got some top contender right there waiting for her. Then you could still play into the storyline that clearly is not finished yet with Sasha and Bianca on Raw. So that's where my line of thinking is for that. So let me know what you guys think about that. Asuka, SmackDown. She's done everything on Raw. I don't want to see her associated with that brand again. Asuka to SmackDown. Rhea Ripley. I'm moving Rhea to SmackDown, and I'm keeping Nikki Trash on Monday Night Raw. I don't want to see this cartoonish shit on SmackDown. It's the better show, barely, but that gimmick could stay on Monday Night Raw. Now, they could move to separate brands, but they could be the women's tag team champions because they could go to any show that they want as long as they're the tag team champions. So as soon as they lose those championships, then they could be split up. They're a fucking makeshift tag team anyway. They're an oddball pairing. There's no reason for them to stay together at all. There's no reason for them to be on the same show at all. Rhea to SmackDown and Nikki Trash stays on Monday Night Raw. I think Nikki could get some good matches out of Sasha. I think Nikki could get some good matches out of Bianca. I think Rhea and Asuka is an intriguing match. I think Rhea and Becky is an intriguing match. Rhea and Bayley is an intriguing match. I'm loving what I've already done with this draft. I'm loving what I've already done. I'm not even through half yet of the women's roster yet. Carmella, she's staying on SmackDown. Carmella is staying on SmackDown. Liv Morgan, staying on SmackDown. Naomi, move her to Raw. In fact, you could probably flip-flop. You could keep Naomi on SmackDown, move Liv Morgan over to Monday Night Raw. So if you want to do that, that's fine. In fact, I'll flip-flop them both because Naomi just got moved to SmackDown. That's another one of those moves that really wasn't documented. Nobody knows why she moved from Raw to SmackDown. No trade or anything. No cash consideration or anything. WWE clearly just moved for the sake of moving. So if you want to keep Naomi on SmackDown, you can move Carmella to Raw. You can move Liv Morgan to Raw. I would rather see Liv Morgan get different opportunities than what she's gotten on SmackDown. Go to Monday Night Raw. I could see Liv Morgan going to Monday Night Raw. Keep Naomi on SmackDown. Zelina Vega, keep on SmackDown. Natalya, move her to Monday Night Raw. Shotzi, keep her on SmackDown. Tegan Nox, move her to Raw. Tegan Nox could be a great feud for Charlotte Flair. Tegan Nox could be a great feud for Sasha Banks. Tegan Nox could be a great feud for a Bianca Belair. I'm moving Tegan over there. So the top four on Monday Night Raw, in my honest opinion, would be Charlotte, Sasha, Bianca, and Tegan. It's a good top four. Tamina, keep her on SmackDown. Get her away from Natty. Toni Storm, move her to Monday Night Raw. She's done nothing on SmackDown. So then you got Charlotte, Sasha, Bianca. You got Tegan and Toni. The top 5 women on Raw. I like that top 5. moving Toni Storm to Monday Night Raw. She just got engaged to Juice Robinson. A lot of broken-hearted men out there. Congratulations to both of them. Mia Yim staying on SmackDown. I think the blue hair goes with the blue theme. Let's keep her on SmackDown. Shayna Baszler, absolutely moving to SmackDown. Doudrop, she's staying on Raw. Alexa Bliss, keep her on Raw. Eva Marie, terminated. She fits nowhere in my draft. Get rid of her. She's a waste of fucking payroll. Don't even draft her to a brand. Nia Jax, Monday Night Raw. This is where we get to the bottom of the barrel, so I'm just piecing shit together. Nia Jax, Monday Night Raw. Dana Brooke, Monday Night Raw. Sonya Deville, keep her on SmackDown. Keep her on SmackDown. Xia Li, I could see go to Monday Night Raw. Aaliyah, I could see on Raw. Dakota Kai, I could see on SmackDown. And Frankie Monet, I could see on SmackDown. And you could obviously pinpoint where I'm putting John Morrison. Because Frankie Monet on SmackDown, I think John Morrison would go and do better, do well for himself on SmackDown. Gooder. What the fuck is wrong with me, man? Gooder. Is that even a fucking word? No. That's the women's division. WWE's mid-card. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Damian Priest, Sheamus, Jeff Hardy, Apollo Crews, John Morrison, The Miz, Ricochet, Baron Corbin, or Happy Corbin. We got Jinder Mahal, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, Cesaro, Austin Theory is another name that is being rumored for a main roster call-up because he's kind of disassociated himself with Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, and Johnny Gargano. Drew Gulak, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Cameron Grimes to the moon. Buried to the moon. I'm keeping Sami Zayn on SmackDown. I'm moving Kevin Owens to Raw. Get him away from Sami Zayn. I'm moving the United States Championship to SmackDown. I'm moving Damian Priest over to SmackDown. Sheamus is going over to SmackDown. Jeff Hardy is going to SmackDown. Apollo Crews is going to Raw. John Morrison is being split from The Miz, and he's going to SmackDown, and he's forming an alliance with his wife. The Miz is staying on Raw. Ricochet is moving to SmackDown. Happy Corbin is moving to Raw. Jinder Mahal is staying on Raw. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander are both moving to SmackDown. That gives you an indication of where I have Bobby Lashley going in my draft. Cesaro, he's going to Raw. Austin Theory to Raw. Drew Gulak, SmackDown. Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs moving to Raw. And Cameron Grimes is moving to Raw, and you're pairing him with Happy Corbin. That's where I'm going with that. I like that makeup there, man. I know Sheamus and Hardy and Priest, they're all on Monday Night Raw. They're all doing their thing for the United States Championship, but I think Jeff Hardy moving to SmackDown would not only give him a fresh scenery, but you could do Roman Reigns versus Jeff Hardy as a one-off feud for a pay-per-view. I think that would be great. One last push for Jeff Hardy before he leaves the company, right? Feed him to Roman. I think that's a good deal. Damian Priest is going to eventually drop that United States Championship. He could drop it and then get moved into the main event scene. When Roman drops that championship, you're going to need big baby faces that are hopefully built up after that to take the load off of Roman. I think that's a good move. I think as far as Cameron Grimes goes, you pair him with Happy Corbin. I think that would be a great pairing there. Ricochet needs a new, fresh coat of paint, more so than anybody, man. Move him to SmackDown. I think he would thrive in the mid-card for the United States Championship on SmackDown. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, they get moved over to SmackDown. Cesaro, he's done everything he could on SmackDown. Move him to Monday Night Raw. Austin Theory, I think he would thrive. You need a little bit of youth on that show. Put him on Monday Night Raw. Bring back Drew Gulak, the one that we got, who was Cruiserweight champion, man. Fucking doing the best work of his WWE run. That's the Gulak we need. Bring him back. What a solid addition to the mid-card he'd be on SmackDown, right? Nakamura. How many more Apollo Crews matches do we need, right? I got Apollo moving to Monday Night Raw, but both of these guys have done nothing. Nothing on SmackDown. Move them both to Raw. Move them both to Raw. And then Cameron Grimes, like I said, moving to Monday Night Raw, call him up from NXT, and put him with Happy Corbin. The main event scene. We got Roman Reigns, Big E, Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Edge, LA Knight, Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton, Matt Riddle, and Brock Lesnar. Now, I know a couple of people are probably thinking, why the divisions? Why did you label everything main event, mid-card, tag team, women's division? You know, I honestly think if WWE gave us a sense of order here, things would be a lot easier. I think we should have mid-card divisions, IC title division, United States Championship division. I think those people should be aligned and assigned to those divisions. And when or if they're ready, they can move to the main event scene. You'll know when that happens. You'll know when someone is ready. There should be a main event scene. Nobody for the Intercontinental Championship should be challenging Roman Reigns or Big E for a major championship. Nobody. You have to have your dedicated divisions. There would be a great sense of order. I think WWE is missing that from their television. Fun fact, that's the way we're doing House of Glory. We have our Intercontinental Championship. It's called our Crown Jewel Division. Crown Jewel Championship. Somebody in the Crown Jewel Division cannot challenge somebody in the heavyweight division. You challenge people in your divisions. And then when you're ready, and when management deems you ready enough, you'll be moved to the heavyweight division. Nobody in the cruiserweight division is going to challenge for the heavyweight championship. Nobody in the cruiserweight division is going to challenge for the Crown Jewel title, unless management deems it appropriate. There needs to be a sense of divisions. That's the way I would do it. And that's why I listed everything the way that I have here today. Roman Reigns and Big E are going nowhere. Reigns is staying on SmackDown, Big E staying on Raw. The New Day is on Raw. I would not break them up. And both championships are going nowhere. They're keeping them the same, and they're staying on the same brand. Bobby Lashley, I'm moving him to SmackDown. I'm moving Bobby Lashley to SmackDown, and I'm pairing him with Cedric and Shelton Benjamin. The Hurt Business is going to be doing some Hurt Business on SmackDown, and I would absolutely visit Reigns and Lashley, and I would visit the Bloodline versus the Hurt Business. That's what I'm doing. And the Hurt Business, if that's the case, would be babyface. I turn them all babyface. But I'd have them be cool babyfaces. I wouldn't have them be babyfaces in the sense of, they're going to be cool babyfaces. Bloodline versus Hurt Business is where I'm going. Bobby Lashley to SmackDown, AJ Styles to SmackDown. I think AJ Styles to SmackDown would be a great move. Get him away from Omos. I don't know where you put Omos. I'm not even having him in the draft. Fuck him. It's a waste of fucking roster space. AJ Styles to SmackDown. Drew McIntyre moves over to SmackDown. So you got Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Drew McIntyre. Look at that top. Look at that top. Then on Monday Night Raw, you got Big E. And listen to this. Big E, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Edge. Those are your big four on Monday Night Raw. Then you get into what I think is very interesting. I'm drafting LA Knight to SmackDown. I'm putting him in the main event scene. I'm drafting LA Knight to SmackDown. I think with Fox being LA Knight, you draft him over to Friday night and you put him in the heavyweight division. You can move him any way you want. You could put him in the IC title or the US title division too. But I think LA Knight is going to be somebody that you look at and say, you know what? He should be more than just challenging for an IC title and a US title. LA Knight to SmackDown. Keith Lee moves over to SmackDown. Karrion Kross to Monday Night Raw. You're going to give Big E a run for his money with Karrion Kross at the top. Then we can get Edge versus Kross. We could get Balor versus Kross. We could get Big E versus Kross. We could get Big E versus Rollins. We could get Balor versus Edge. Tons of matches there, man. Tons of matches there. Rey Mysterio going to Raw. I'm moving Rey Mysterio, and Dominic could probably join him. I don't know where you put him. I don't really consider him a mid-card or a cruiserweight or anything. I don't know where you put him. But if Rey Mysterio is moving to Raw, then I guess you got to move Dominic to Monday Night Raw as well. Randy Orton, he stays on Monday Night Raw. Matt Riddle, you're moving over to SmackDown because when Rated RK Bro is over, Matt Riddle could be one of the guys that you build up, if you're ready, maybe, to take the title off of Roman Reigns. Maybe. And that's my draft. Brock Lesnar, he stays on SmackDown, but that man could go anywhere he wants. So I don't see WWE taking him off of Fox. I don't think Fox will really appreciate that. Then we got your Rondas who are out there. We got your Cenas. They're going to come back and go wherever WWE needs them. The Undertaker's retired, no matter who you read or what you hear. The Undertaker is on the internal list. No, he's retired. He's not coming back. Omos, I don't know where you put him. I don't give a fuck. Eva Marie, get rid of her. I don't care where you put Omos or Eva Marie at all. WWE's got Lacey Evans still. She's about to pop a baby out, so I don't know where she comes back or how soon she comes back after giving birth. But there are a couple of people out there that WWE has. Titus O'Neil. You know, that's for the supplemental stuff. And I'm doing... And the reason why I didn't mention like a Chad Gable or anything like that, because the Alpha Academy, Otis, I missed a couple people, if you guys are wondering. They're in the tag team division. So they're going to be floating on both shows. If you, per se, break them up, then you could do a trade or maybe some cool way to get them affiliated with the brand. Really make fun of it. You know, make it feel important. But this is my mock draft. If you guys enjoyed that, let me know. If you guys will make any changes to that, let me know. But that is my mock draft. I know by the time you see this, we would have night one of the draft already in the books. So we got Monday Night Raw coming up. But this is exactly what I'm doing, man. It took me a little bit of time this morning to get this all situated and really think about where people need to be and where they would fit best and where I think we would get some fresh matches. So let me know what you guys think about that. That's my mock 2021 draft for WWE. And we're going to pick it up in the second half of the show. I got news and rumors on AEW, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. I got news on Rampage. I got news on AEW as far as the Owen Hart tournament. Bunch of shit still to come, man, right here on Off the Script. Right after this small commercial break from our sponsor for today's show, Manscaped. That is manscaped.com. You guys can use code SCRIPT20 at checkout to save 20% off and get yourself some free shipping. I want to thank you guys once again for joining me on Off the Script. This is episode 393 for your Saturday, October 2nd, 2021. Today's show is sponsored by my friends over at Manscaped, the leaders in male grooming. Their fourth-generation performance package absolutely changed the grooming game, along with their refined body wash to round out your hygiene routine. Join the 2 million men worldwide who have trusted Manscaped for their shower time routine by going to manscaped.com. You guys are going to use code SCRIPT20 to save 20% off and get that free shipping. Have you guys ever smelled Manscaped's refined body wash? Now, I know I have. And let me tell you, fellas, the ladies will love Manscaped signature scent. You and your boys will be, so fresh and so clean when you start your self-care routine with the ultimate body wash. Keep the grooming game going with the Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver, that is their ball deodorant, and their Crop Reviver toner. You're also going to get some performance boxer briefs and a nice little travel bag to hold all your goodies. Now, the fourth generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. Now, the Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock, and it gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when you need a more precise shave. And it's waterproof. Is there anything that this trimmer cannot do. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top, in your nose, and in your ear. Also, we got the Manscaped liquid formulations here. Their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant for before leaving the house, and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner for a mid-game ball check. Trust me when I say, fellas, your balls will thank you. Manscaped even threw in 2 gifts for the Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxer Briefs and the Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comforts and boxers to another level, guys. 20% off, free shipping. Use code SCRIPT at manscaped.com. That is 20% off. Use code SCRIPT20 at checkout at manscaped.com. And I want to say, man, keep your balls trimmed, fresh, and clean this fall with Manscaped. And I want to thank them once again for supporting Off the Script. All right, man, we are back with the second half of Off the Script, episode 393 for October 2nd, 2021. We got some SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, NXT, AEW news and rumors to go over, including all of the ratings for this week's programming. I also got news on WWE keeping the Joe Gacy gimmick going for NXT 2.0. I got news on the Sammy Guevara title win. Sammy Guevara is the new TNT champion, beating Miro, the Redeemer, God's favorite champion, on Wednesday night. Major update on Jake Roberts. Tony Khan taking creative control away from all of the EVPs in AEW. News on Bray Wyatt. News on the Owen Hart tournament that AEW will be engulfing itself in. And Randy Orton. Is Randy Orton injured on Monday Night's Raw? We will go over all of that on the podcast, man. We got a lot to still get into. Again, thank you for joining me. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. Make sure you guys also hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,500. And the way I just took care of this draft, man, I mean, we should be looking at more than 1,500 likes on this video. If I was in charge, things would be the way that we all want. SmackDown ratings. Not really all that impressive for SmackDown. More of the same. Same old for SmackDown. SmackDown dropped in the ratings for the Extreme Rules Go Home show. Friday's show, not yesterday, the previous week, 2.135. That's million viewers on Fox. That is down from the 2.243 the show did 1 week prior. And in the 18 to 49 demographic, the show did a 0.55. That was also down from the 0.58 the rating did a week prior. Now, the go-home show for Extreme Rules, this show featured Liv Morgan versus Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega got a win. It's amazing. I know, man. Miracles can fucking happen. Shinsuke Nakamura defended the Intercontinental Championship against Apollo Crews, and he once again defeated Apollo Crews. We had Happy Talk with Happy Corbin, the world premiere of his new talk show that included himself. And then Kevin Owens interfering, and we saw the return of Riddick Moss, who will now be paired with Happy Corbin. Nikki Trash versus Natalya, and Roman Reigns versus Montez Ford was your main event on SmackDown. Not really much on Friday's show. You could see why there was a dip in the rating for SmackDown on Fox. Not a very good show, even though the Roman Reigns and Montez Ford match was pretty decent. And I could get into a whole new can of worms talking about Roman Reigns. Is he overexposed? We talk about this on the post shows the last couple of weeks. Is Roman Reigns being overexposed, overused? Because WWE is wanting to generate some interest, and they know that they have that shoulder to rely on with Roman Reigns. You got to keep him special, man. You got to keep him and that championship special. Do not fuck it up after you come this way. The way you have with Roman Reigns, man. All this way, only for what? To ruin him and his allure and his appeal and his interest because you need ratings? Come on, man. You got to do the right thing. Do not do Roman Reigns dirty. NXT, they dropped big time, man, the interest in the brand after people got a sniff of what Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard were producing down there. Their worst rating yet, man, and it's not difficult to see why. NXT drew 655,000 live viewers. That is down from 746,000 live viewers the show did 1 week ago. 0.14 in the 18 to 49 demographic. The show did a 0.20 in the 18 to 49 just a week ago. It ranked number 32 in the top 150 shows on cable for the night. That's down from last week's number 11 ranking. It's not good, man. It's not good at all. This episode featured Elektra Lopez versus B-Fab. Zion Quinn is the guy I was talking about earlier in the show. He looks like he's ready-made for Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard. Also Samoan, so he's got that going along for him. He beat Oney Lorcan. Zoe Stark and Io Shirai defeated Toxic Attraction to retain the women's tag team titles. Boa versus Andre Chase. You can see that they have not a fucking clue as to what they're doing with this Chase U gimmick for Andre Chase. He wrestled in a fucking sweater as if he was a college professor. Clearly, they have no plans for him. Roderick Strong defeated Grayson Waller. That was a very good match. I was actually very impressed with Grayson Waller. Not a fucking clue as to who this guy was before Tuesday night, and he impressed the shit out of me, man, against Roderick Strong, flying all over the place. Excellent match for the Cruiserweight Championship. In fact, I actually enjoyed that match than I did the Roddy and Kushida match. I enjoyed the Grayson Waller match more than the Kushida match. Says a lot. Kyle O'Reilly versus Ridge Holland. And Kyle O'Reilly was saved from a post-match beatdown from Holland and Dunn when Von Wagner made the save. Our boy Von Wagner. People in my live stream chat are now a part of the Von Wagner World Order. The VWO. Put the lotion in the basket, Von Wagner. This guy is Buffalo Bill's late fucking... He's a distant cousin. A distant relative, man. Anyway, we're going to see more of Von Wagner on this. I still don't know what the fuck a Von Wagner is. The fuck is a Von Wagner, man? I don't know. I don't know. But we're going to see him. Apparently Kyle O'Reilly's going to help get him over. Who's going to get him more over? Kyle O'Reilly or off the script? I think you guys know the answer to that one. Raquel Gonzalez defeated Frankie Monet to retain the women's championship in NXT. This NXT, by the way, was labeled as Ladies' Night. Now you probably know why the ratings took a fucking nosedive in the demographic. There you go. NXT was awful. Lash Legend with lashing out. Like, who's writing this shit? Joe Gacy is still there after I thought he was canceled. This entire show was a fucking chore to get through. It's their mentality, man. Bruce and Vince write the show. And it's got this chore-like mentality to fucking sit through. It's awful. Nobody's watching this shit. At this point, it doesn't even deserve a time slot on the USA Network. USA Network, after this 2 years, 3 years, whatever the fuck the contract is for the TV rights, done. This shit's moving right back to the WWE Network, man. And then I want to see what's happening on the WWE Network. Who's going to tune in and go out of their way to watch this version of NXT? Meanwhile, Triple H's version of NXT, you know, the one that we all fucking love, that version of NXT was doing over 1 million viewers weekly on the WWE Network, and one of the primary sole reasons why people signed up to the WWE Network. This version of NXT is a fucking failure. A failure. But people are enjoying it. I don't know how you choose this NXT over Triple H's version of NXT. What was wrong with it? What was wrong with it before you moved it to the USA Network live at 2 hours? What was wrong with it when you used it as a fucking meat shield for AEW? What was wrong with it when you wanted them to take down AEW? There was nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Vince McMahon then took NXT, killed it, upset at Triple H, has this internal gripe and grudge with NXT. Now he's killing it from within, man. NXT is dead as we used to know it. Dead. If you guys don't understand that, just watch this show on Tuesday night, man. You will see what exactly I am talking about. Also, go and listen to Adam Cole, baby, on Talk is Jericho, man. Everything that we said about the death of NXT and Triple H's NXT compared to NXT 2.0 and Vince McMahon having a grudge against Triple H and NXT, the war between AEW and NXT and how NXT is dead after going to war with AEW. Everything we've ever talked about, talked about between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho on Talk is Jericho. Go and listen to it, man. Everybody thinks I'm dipping into my conspiracy theories. Everybody thinking that I'm talking out my ass. How can I be talking out my ass when Jericho and Adam Cole pretty much confirmed everything that I've mentioned here in the last 3 months? Never mind 3 months, 6 years. Triple H was no longer in charge anymore. That was talked about. Chris Jericho even brought it up. Go listen to it. Well worth your listen. I give myself a pat on the back when I got Jericho saying the same shit that I have been saying, and I have no inside connections. I just have an IQ greater than most in the community. WWE is very happy with the new Joe Gacy gimmick in NXT. Reportedly, WWE is very happy with this gimmick since Joe Gacy has adopted this at the beginning of the relaunch for NXT 2.0. It seemed like the gimmick was poking fun at the woke left, with Gacy using several trigger words during his promos, like, I guess, male privilege or whatever the fuck he was talking about last week when he got picked up by major publications. Fox, New York Post, they all took this Joe Gacy promo and made it news in their sports section. Now, like I said, the Post and Fox News picked this up. WWE actually removed all mentions of Joe Gacy from social media and on their social media. However, he was back in the ring wearing his gray button-down shirt and cargo pants or whatever the fuck he was wearing, slacks, dress shoes. He returned Tuesday night with another similar promo. Dave Meltzer reports in the Observer newsletter that WWE is very happy with this gimmick and the attention that it's getting. Joe Gacy's only had one match so far in NXT since the relaunch, which he lost to Cameron Grimes. And he is just one of many NXT talents that have been repackaged in recent weeks, along with the entirety of the show. I still don't know what WWE is aiming for with this gimmick. I don't. This is 2 weeks now. I think 2 weeks is a good amount of time to determine whether you are going to stand behind this gimmick or not. And the only reason why it made its way back to television for a second week is because WWE is desperate for fucking attention. Because WWE saw this picked up by Fox News and the New York Post, and they figured, let's keep the momentum going. Soon as Fox News and the New York Post see that this gimmick is nothing but a fucking desperate attempt at attention, and they stop covering it, then WWE will get bored of Joe Gacy. But it's not even Joe Gacy's fault. We can't even say anything about Joe Gacy. Joe Gacy was given shit to work with, and he's got to make fucking chicken shit. He's got to make chicken salad, they say, right, out of chicken shit. That's what he's got to do. Is he going to do it? I don't know. He seems to be doing well so far. He's got this prick-like, I want to slap the fucking shit out of him type of vibe about him. So we'll see what happens, man. But WWE's very happy about it. Yeah, they're very happy. They're not very happy with the gimmick. They're very happy that the gimmick got picked up by publications and got attention. That attention is not really translating into people watching this horrendous program. See what he does with it. We'll give him a couple more weeks, man. We'll see what WWE thinks about this in about 4 to 6 weeks' time. I don't think it's going to be very pretty. Gacy will be repackaged before you know it. Rampage on 9/24. Viewership dips. Key demo rises for Grand Slam. Seen a bunch of people online. Oh, Rampage. Look at all the hype that Rampage got. You know. They're only doing 600,000 for a Grand Slam show. Got to hear these geeks online, man. Got to hear these geeks online. Grand Slam was excellent on Wednesday night. AEW made a 2-night event out of it. Rampage Grand Slam averaged 640,000 live viewers. And that was a total of 0.29 in the 18 to 49 demographic at the 10 p.m. time slot. Last week, the show did 642,000 live viewers and had a 18 to 49 demo rating of 0.28. Special was split into two different time slots. The first hour did 727,000 viewers with a 0.32 rating. And the second hour did 552,000 live viewers with a 0.25 rating. Clearly, as the night went on, the show dipped in the ratings as per usual because people do not want to watch professional wrestling on a Friday night at 11 p.m. when they could be watching Sports Center or something else, football or hockey related, baseball related now that we're getting into the playoffs. Or maybe they're out and about drinking and on a date somewhere. Pro wrestling geeks out on a date, man. Yeah, right. Anyway, you may be out with your friends. Nobody's watching pro wrestling besides me because this is my job on a Friday night. Give me a break. Grand Slam was a resounding success. I think these geeks online are forgetting about the one big statistic that AEW sold 20,000 tickets in a stadium that nobody's had professional wrestling in before in their first trip to New York City. Outselling WWE times 2 with what they did at Madison Square Garden. And now are up 4 to 5 times more in Long Island than WWE is. So clearly, AEW is doing what they need to do. Give me a break. People tuned in for CM Punk. People tuned in to see what was going on with the rest of Grand Slam. And I thought it was a very great week for AEW. First hour, Rampage ranked number 1 in the demo on cable. The second hour ranked number 4. So it was 2 hours. This is the breakdown of the demos. 18 to 49 viewers, 0.32. Hour 2, 0.25. Female viewers, 0.17 to a 0.12 in hour 2. 50 plus, 0.24. And the second hour did a 0.18. They did very well in the ratings for the time slot that they were given with the additional hour of Rampage at 11 o'clock. CM Punk beat Will Hobbs. Excellent showing by Hobbs and great on Punk. Not the best match. A little sloppy in parts, but it got the job done. FTR versus Sting and Darby Allin. Fun as hell, man. Thought it was a great match. Christian Cage and Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks and Adam Cole. Excellent stuff there. Jake Hager and Chris Jericho versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky of American Top Team. Good stuff there. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki in a lights-out match. I thought it was a little rushed. I thought they could have been given a little bit more time. The Lucha Brothers, Santana and Ortiz versus Private Party, The Butcher and the Blade, Anna Jay and Penelope Ford. 2 hours they were given instead of their 1 hour format on Friday night. Resounding success was AEW this week in New York City. Dynamite, they also dropped in the ratings, but they were number 1 on cable for the entire evening. Dynamite drew 1.152 million viewers. That is down from the 1.273 million viewers the show did last week. Last week's episode was Grand Slam. That featured a stacked card with Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson in the open of the show with Ruby Soho and Britt Baker for the Women's Championship in the main event. The 18 to 49 demographic did a 0.45. That is down from the 0.48 the show did last week. This week's Dynamite did not beat Raw's key demo as they had 588,000 viewers compared to Raw's 621. Last week's episode was the 3rd highest viewership number and the key demo in the history of AEW Dynamite. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics reported this news. Dynamite ranked number 1 in the top 150 shows on cable for the night, the same as the number 1 ranking last week. We had Miro versus Sammy Guevara for the TNT title. Sammy is the new TNT champion. Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson versus Dante Martin and Matt Sydal. Match wasn't even the story, man. It was the promo cut by Arn Anderson at the end of the match, where Arn Anderson said that he would pull out a Glock if somebody tried to carjack him and spill his you-know-what all over the concrete floor. Cody Rhodes would just sit there and back out of the situation and say, yes, please, don't hurt me. Please take my car. And then Arn Anderson proceeded to call Cody Rhodes a loser and then usher over Lee Johnson. Lee, come with me. At least you listen to me when I speak. So that's making wrestling headline news everywhere. And Cody Rhodes is on his way to being a heel, man. Very much looking forward to it. Jungle Boy and Adam Cole. Excellent opening match. Dave Meltzer gave it 4.5 stars in the open. I thought this was Jungle Boy's best match in AEW to date, and Adam Cole is simply fucking amazing. Tay Conti and Anna Jay, they defeated the Bunny and Penelope Ford, Dark Order and Orange Cassidy versus the Hardy Family Office in a 16-man tag, and it was Brody Lee Appreciation Night, being that they were in Rochester, New York, 10,000 strong, to commemorate and honor Brody Lee. This is where he was supposed to make his debut when he first joined AEW. He won the TNT Championship. They were stuck in the middle of a pandemic. He had that dog collar match with Cody Rhodes. Everything was going well. God rest his soul. And this is the first time that AEW was in Rochester, when they should have been there last year, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, they were not allowed to travel. The original plans for Sammy Guevara and the TNT title win over Miro. And I knew when I read this story, I was probably going to read what I had expected, and it was part of a long-term plan. Tony Khan had it in his mind who he wanted to win the title and when the title change was going to happen, because Tony Khan does everything with a plan in mind. Fightful is reporting that the match was originally scheduled to take place on Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe Stadium. However, it was pushed back by 1 week. Sammy Guevara won the TNT Championship when he hit a tornado DDT and then the Go to Sleep. His version is called Go to Hell, followed by a beautiful 630 senton, pinned the champion, 1, 2, 3, won the TNT Championship. The report noted that several people backstage knew a couple of hours ahead of the show that a title change was happening. Tony Khan came up with the idea to change the title before All Out earlier in September. Guevara's first title defense will take place next week on Dynamite against ex-NXT superstar Bobby Fish, who is now a part of MLW, and now MLW is reportedly walking through the forbidden door. It was worked out timing-wise, as Wednesday's show took place in Rochester, New York, the hometown of Brody Lee, and it was dedicated to the late wrestler who had a past with the TNT title, and that was a memorable reign, and Sammy Guevara won it in honor of Brody Lee. I think this is great, and I said this with Jesse on Wednesday's show. Miro had a tremendous run. It could have went longer. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded if it went longer. It could have absolutely gone longer. I felt like it might have been too soon. But seeing what he's done and how he's transformed his gimmick from when he first came in, and how great he's been, and what he's done with that championship, and how that championship was a priority to him and AEW, and how it's main evented shows like Dynamite and Rampage, I had no problem with Sammy Guevara winning the TNT Championship. None. Sammy was built up. Now, a lot of people are probably guessing that the championship is probably going to continue its feud with Miro and Sammy. I don't necessarily think that's the case. We could absolutely see that. Tony Khan isn't one to do rematches and rematches and rematches. We could get another match with Sammy Guevara and Miro, but I honestly think Miro is going to take a step back, and his plan is going to be something along the lines of maybe moving him into the main event scene. He's done what he's could with the championship. The championship is now just as prestigious being held by Sammy Guevara because of what Miro did. If WWE followed these little moves and treated their championships the way AEW treats their championships, not only would the championship make the champion, and it would be better off if that's the case. Everything around it is much better. The shows, you get another main event match. Like, you don't have to include Roman Reigns in. You get these young guys, these up-and-comers in the main event to show everybody what they can do. You can feature other championships besides the WWE title and the Universal title. It just makes sense. But WWE doesn't like to do things that make sense. Sammy Guevara winning the championship was a great moment. He was ready for it. He's one of the most over guys there. Miro did tremendous with the championship. All of what he did now is in Sammy Guevara's hands. How could you be upset at this? This only means great things for Sammy, and this only means great things for Miro because you see what they do with Miro and how they respect Miro and how they love Miro and what they've done with his gimmick. He's more than likely going to move up the ranking, which is great. I don't know why you have a problem with that. And the way that the match ended, they somewhat protected him. I, at first glance, thought, oh, man, this is a cheesy ending. But it protected Miro. He lost because of his own frustrations because he couldn't put Sammy away when he thought he had Sammy put away. Great match. Great match. Meltzer gave that one a 4-star rating. He gave the Adam Cole and Jungle Boy a little bit higher at a 4.5, but the show was bookended by two great matches. Open with Cole and Jungle Boy, end with Sammy and Miro with Sammy's celebration as the new TNT champion. Excellent show. It's an excellent Dynamite show this Wednesday. Jake the Snake Roberts. Small update on Jake the Snake. I failed to cover this on Wednesday when I had said I was, but Jake the Snake Roberts is in good health. Jake the Snake has been out, and he has not been seen with Lance Archer. And as reported in the latest issue of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, that WWE Hall of Famer Jake Roberts was out with undisclosed health issues. This is coming from Bodyslam.net and Cassidy Haynes. He spoke to sources in AEW that he knows about Jake the Snake's recent health issues, and he was told that Roberts has been absent from AEW programming after undergoing foot surgery where he had pins inserted in some of his toes. Roberts is expected back to AEW programming very soon, potentially even this week, after he was recently cleared by doctors to return to work. And if you guys read the Dark spoilers, Jake is there on Dark with Lance Archer. Jake's next confirmed appearance will be at the New York City Comic-Con on October 7th as part of the Headlocked Comics and Heroes Hideout booth. So Jake is in good health, guys. He's back on TV, and he will be paired back with Lance Archer. Good on Jake, and I'm hoping that the foot surgery is not an issue anymore moving forward. Tony Khan took all the creative control away from all of the AEW EVPs. We talked about this on Wednesday. Sources with the company told Cassidy Haynes at Bodyslam.net that creative was essentially taken away from all of the EVPs, as basically everything now goes through Tony Khan. AEW talents are allowed and encouraged to pitch ideas, give suggestions, but creative is absolutely Tony Khan's prerogative now. At one point, Cody Rhodes was the only EVP to regularly attend office meetings and was an office regular, but the role as well has been removed. And Cody Rhodes is not a part of those meetings anymore, and it's been greatly diminished. Matt Jackson's EVP role, as Cassidy Haynes was told, has been assisting his wife Dana with merchandise, and Nick Jackson is focused on handling being the elite. Additionally, it was stated that Kenny Omega is very hands-on with the AEW Games project and the gaming side of things, as well as his role of helping out putting the women's division and the women's matches together. Cassidy Haynes has sources that said that basically all the EVPs are only EVPs in name in 2021. They no longer have final say in creative or talent hiring, any of them. TK pulled back on the reins and took that power away from them all. So this should be no surprise to anybody, and it's finally the way that it is right now. Year one, they needed Tony. Year one, they needed Tony to get this thing off the ground. Tony Khan molded it into the AEW that we see now. Now Tony Khan has a grasp on everything. He knows that if he lets the inmates run the asylum a little bit too much, that everything that he's doing is not going to last at all. You can't have the inmates running the asylum. Right now is where it needs to be. And right now, from what I'm reading here from Bodyslam.net, this is as healthy as you could possibly get AEW. You cannot have the EVPs booking writing, especially writing and booking for themselves. They are a part of the team. Tony Khan is the boss. They go by what Tony Khan says. They're EVPs in name. They should not be EVPs when it comes to what's on TV, what they're doing on TV, how many championships they're in, what championship matches they're in. They can't book themselves into situation because now this is a even bigger unit, a bigger family unit, and you can't have that type of mentality. Give to them. Let me take, and not spread the wealth. Because that's exactly where it's going to end up leading. You get this, some sort of narcissistic fucking complex. You think who you are. Oh, I'm an EVP. I could do this. I could do that. I could book myself this. I could give myself this championship in this championship match. You can't do that. This is the healthiest AEW has been. It should have been like this, but Tony Khan needed guidance. He needed to see what was going on. And now that he's got a better grasp on it in year 2 going into year 3 than he had in year 1 going into year 2, AEW is going to be much more healthier at the end of their 3rd year. This is great. They all have roles. They're still EVPs. They're all a part of some mega stuff, right? Young Bucks were a part of the tag team championship match that will go down as one of the best of all time. One of the best steel cage matches of all time. Kenny Omega is having a lifelong fucking run, a career run with the AEW championship where everything that he's done so great, so brilliantly, is going to be passed on to the next guy, a youthful guy, Paige or an MJF or something like that. The lineage that Kenny Omega is creating with that championship is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Cody Rhodes is doing his own thing. He's got his own reality show right now. He's going to be a bigger star for that. The Young Bucks got all of their merchandise and how much merchandise they ship out every single week. Kenny Omega is doing the game stuff. He's a part of the women's division, right? Nick Jackson's doing Being the Elite. That's one of AEW's highest rated shows, highest viewed shows on YouTube. That gets more views than Dark and Dark Elevation. So everybody's where they need to be. Tony Khan can't manage all of this. That's why he's hired these people and put them in place. He'd much rather trust Kenny Omega with the gaming side of things than booking his own matches and attending creative meetings and signing talent. Tony Khan's the one with the paybook or the paycheck and the pen, and he's got the payroll, so he should be in charge of legitimately everything that goes on. Now, we did discuss, is Tony Khan taking on too much? Is he going to get burnt out? Is it going to cloud what he's doing right now, maybe cloud his vision? Is he going to get a little egotistical in what he's doing, and in turn, is that going to seep down to the roster? I don't see it happening. I don't. Tony Khan is a fan himself. Adam Cole, I spoke to Adam Cole at the Scrum. I listened to Adam Cole on Talk is Jericho. That man is as genuine or sounds as genuine as they come, man. He is still smiling that he's there. And he put over Tony Khan so much on that Talk is Jericho podcast, saying that Tony Khan is a fan himself. It is absolutely breathtaking to listen to this man speak and be around his energy. So much different than what you would expect in WWE. And then Bryan Danielson, everybody's still calling him Daniel Bryan. I'm very guilty of this. I'm sorry. Bryan Danielson, he walked into AEW on the first Dynamite, asked, because he was interviewed, I believe, by Bleacher Report, asked, what are we doing tonight? What am I saying tonight in my promo? They didn't hand him anything. You talk about this, go out there and make it your own. He was like, what the fuck? It's almost as if AEW lets guys go out there and be themselves. No stress. No stress. There's a level of trust that Tony Khan has in these people to make sure it is the best product possible. And it's under that leadership where AEW is going to thrive. And and listen, you can call Meltzer and Alvarez a mark for AEW, but Tony Khan's already won Booker of the Year. He's going to win Booker of the Year this year. So he's only going to get better as the years go on. Can you imagine what he's doing in year 5, year 6? Where AEW is going to be in year 5 and year 6 under his leadership. This is where they need to be. The fact that he took creative control away from everybody and he is the one in charge making the decisions, that was the best thing that he could have done for himself to really get AEW into the future the way we need it. Bray Wyatt, not expected to sign with AEW. Brian Alvarez mentioned this on Wrestling Observer Live. He says, and I quote, about Wyndham Rotunda going to AEW. As far as the former Bray Wyatt goes, I mentioned weeks ago that I do not believe that the former Bray Wyatt is going to AEW. If you ask me, this is not confirmed because nothing is confirmed until somebody signs somewhere. The impression I have is it is more likely that he's going to Impact Wrestling. But here's the deal. Anything is possible. I believe 100% that when we do this show tomorrow, I will alert you that he was not in Rochester, and he wasn't. And 99% believe that he is not going to be on the show in Rochester, which he wasn't. Now, if somehow he negotiated an early release from his WWE contract, even if he signs with Impact ultimately or whatever, is it possible that he will make an appearance on the show in Rochester as part of the tribute show to Brody Lee? No, it's not impossible, but I don't think it's happening. I don't think that he is going to be signing with AEW. I know there are a lot of rumors out there. End quote. Now, it was pretty much debunked, I believe, by Andrew Zarian of McMahon podcast. Bray Wyatt has a 90-day non-compete. His 90-day non-compete is not up until October 30th. So the latest we would see him is at Full Gear if AEW is bringing him in. And if WWE let him go, there's no reason why anybody would believe they let him out of his 90-day. Why would they do that? Because they know exactly what's going to happen if they let him go and cut his 90-day. They don't want him on television. Not with what's going on now and the fact that AEW is closing the gap between Dynamite and Raw. They would not allow that. It's almost as if they saw this coming. Do we see Wyndham at Full Gear? Possibly. Do we see Wyndham hold off the rest of this year and show up next year? Possibly. Does he go to Impact? I don't think so. Now, the only thing I will say is this, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there, that probably want to see him in Impact Wrestling. The only thing I could possibly tell you as far as where he's going to end up and the possibility of him landing in Impact solely resides on this. AEW does not have this magic, puppets, whatever the fuck Bray Wyatt was doing, fire, all this other shit with the Fiend character. AEW does not meddle in that type of creativity for their pro wrestling show. Impact may actually be a little bit more open to letting Bray Wyatt be as creative as he wants. I'm not saying that's the case, but we see shit with Su Yung and Rosemary. We see that type of shit. That's Devil Bride type of nightmarish horror theme shit. Now, they do have Abaddon in AEW, but you don't see Abaddon on Dynamite. Abaddon has not been pushed heavily on AEW television because the gimmick has a very small ceiling. There's not much AEW can do there unless you really humanize the character. So I don't know how much he's willing to jeopardize that, but AEW might not see Wyndham's creativity as something that will fit their program. That's the only thing I could possibly tell you. The only thing I could possibly say about him joining AEW and why Impact may be a little bit more open and why he may choose Impact Wrestling. Tony Khan might not offer him a contract. Now, I don't think that's the case because I absolutely think if Wyndham goes back to doing what he did with the first incarnation of the Bray Wyatt character, which I thought was the best character that Wyndham played, that would absolutely fit in AEW. Absolutely fit in AEW. Why don't we go back to doing something like that? That did not even get off the ground until WWE killed it. WWE killed it, not once but twice. He lost to John Cena at WrestleMania 30. He won the WWE Championship under that Bray Wyatt in one of my favorite storylines that the Wyatt family was ever consumed with Luke Harper and the Randy Orton storyline. Is Randy Orton to be trusted, right? That should have really resulted in Luke Harper, Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt in a triple threat match at WrestleMania 33. That didn't happen. After that, WWE was pretty much on its way to killing Bray Wyatt. Randy Orton beat Bray Wyatt. He was never the same again after that. Came back as The Fiend. Lost to Goldberg. had that terrible match with Rollins inside Hell in a Cell. Orton lost the title to Mahal, pretty much wiping away everything. Creative nightmares everywhere. That's the type of character I want to see Wyndham do in AEW. But who knows? Wyndham may be coming up with an extension of what we saw in WWE with The Fiend. It may be a new concept, something similar to The Fiend. We don't know. We don't know. Now, Braun Strowman, Adam Scherr, they're calling him Titan, presumably. Scott D'Amore hinted a couple weeks ago that Strowman might be headed to Impact soon. So we might see Strowman have a debut at Bound for Glory in Las Vegas. Now, I could see Strowman going to Impact. I don't see Strowman going to AEW. I think that would be a colossal waste of time on both parties. Strowman is not what AEW needs, and AEW does not need to bring in somebody like that. That's going to be a bad vibe just because of who he is, the size of him, and where he came from. You want the AEW rejects landfill to be a topic of discussion in AEW by the fan base? Then bring in Braun Strowman. You don't want that. Have him go to Impact. He could dominate over there. Bring me Wyndham. It's very interesting what's going on. We will keep a close eye on it, but keep that in mind, man. Impact may be a little bit more open for Wyndham doing what he usually does in Impact, more so than Tony Khan allowing him to do that in AEW. Big announcements for the Owen Hart Cup. Can't wait for this. The Owen Hart Cup is coming, and I can't wait. He talked about the Owen Hart Cup. This is going to be a tremendous event, Tony Khan said on Busted Open. It's a great partnership with Martha Hart and the Owen Hart Foundation. Martha is a very principled woman, to say the least. She's a very intelligent woman. She thought long and hard about this, and we talked for a long time about this. I talked to Martha about this for over a year on a regular basis. This was confirmed to be one of Tony Khan's original concepts, and he went out and got it. She put a lot of thought into it. We put a lot of thought into it together. That's how this came together. She's a really good person, and I think she wanted to make sure we were good people too. I really like Martha a lot. You can't say enough great things about the legacy of Owen Hart, how much it means to so many of us, and what a great opportunity this is to celebrate his life. We had this in the works for a long time. The Owen is what they're calling the trophy. The Owen, I can think, is going to be a very special prize in wrestling. I think people are going to want to win the Owen. I believe we will really establish this as a very special thing in AEW, a very special annual tradition. Confirmed it will be a yearly thing. I'm excited to tell people more about it. I've got a few match announcements and a few big booking plans up my sleeve that I'm excited for people to find out about. That's all coming, I think, in due time. And the Owen Hart announcement is really, really big for us. When we get through this huge night on Friday Night Rampage with Grand Slam, I think next week we will have a lot of cool stuff when the dust settles. So we're looking at some really cool shit here, man. And Tony Khan has announced a casino ladder match on Dynamite next week, and there will be a Joker in the ladder match, a surprise entrant. And a big surprise, apparently, is coming to AEW next week. So we don't know what that is. We don't know what that is. It's going to get people talking, which is great. And there are a few people out there. There are a few people out there, man. We could see a Jonah Rock debut, finally, his 30 days of Raw. He says he's been talking to all the major promotions. We could see a Jonah Rock. We could see a Buddy Matthews debut after all the rumors and speculation that AEW passed on Buddy Matthews. Either one of these guys could show up for Bound for Glory, too, in a couple of weeks. We're getting one or the other. I would rather Jonah Rock in AEW. I think he would fit tremendously. I think Buddy Murphy would fit tremendously on Impact show. So it's going to be very interesting. One of those guys could be in the ladder match. Not a battle royal, it's a ladder match. I could see Adam Page be the Joker card. Nobody's expecting him to come back. He can come back, win and all. Get the title match at Omega and Full Gear. Lots of cool stuff happening, man. Gonna keep an eye on that. But Tony Khan said that there's a Joker in this ladder match and a big surprise on Wednesday. Monday Night Raw. Their rating is in. 1.709 million viewers on the USA Network. down from the 1.793 the show did 1 week prior. The 18 to 49 demo saw the show come in at 0.48. That is the same as the week before. Raw was ranked number 7 in the top 150 shows on cable for the night, which is down from the number 6 ranking last week. The NFL game was the top of the charts in the key demo and drew nearly 13 million viewers on ESPN. I need you guys, all these geeks out there, if you get into any verbal arguments with these fucking geeks, these low IQ, no IQ fucking geeks online, Monday Night Football is not taking away from Monday Night Raw. They're not. Monday Night Raw's average was 1.8, probably lower than that. Probably what you see now. 1.79 to 1.70, around there. Monday Night Football is not taking away from Monday Night Raw, because the ratings have remained almost identical to where they usually are. Give me a break. You can no longer use the Monday Night Raw, Monday Night Football argument. Now, I dare you to go back and look at the ratings 10 to 11 years ago. Monday Night Raw is probably doing upper 3s, 4s in the rating. That's what you need to be concerned with. Where did those 3 million, 4 million people go 10 years ago? And where are they now? Why is the rating so low now? Now, WWE gave us a Fallout episode from Extreme Rules. We got the return of Keith Lee, Bear Claw, Keith Lee, Bear Cat, Thundercat. They're great. Keith Lee. Tony the Tiger is going to be sitting next to Count Chocula and Captain Crunch at the supermarket. Keith Lee is going to be shilling Frosted Flakes to the old lady that's pushing their cart down the cereal aisle. Hey, youngin', do you have anything for my husband? He doesn't want to eat Cheerios anymore. Do you recommend the Frosted Flakes? They're great. Keith Lee. That's Keith Lee now. But I'm supposed to believe that Keith Lee chose his gimmick, right? Keith Lee went to Vince McMahon and said, hey, yo, Vince, I want to name my cat, I want to name myself Bear Cat. Sure. Keith Lee was given shit to work with, and he's got to make it work. Jinder Mahal, Shanky, and Veer. I'm putting you half to sleep with this fucking match and the thought of it. Jeff Hardy, Mansoor, and Ali. Karrion Kross defeated Jackson Riker. AJ Styles defeated Riddle. And Charlotte Flair defeated Doudrop. Big E, he started off wrestling Bobby Lashley in the open of the show. The Hurt Business reformed for one night only, which is my assumption. I don't think WWE's getting back the Hurt Business or putting the Hurt Business back together, because nothing was said about the Hurt Business. Nothing. Now, unless WWE tells me otherwise next week or the week after, or if they draft him to the same show for the draft, then maybe I will say, well, all right, maybe WWE's got a plan to bring the Hurt Business back to television. But nothing was said about why they were together. Nothing was said as to why Cedric and Shelton helped Bobby Lashley in the open of the show. And then after the show was over, Big E beat Bobby Lashley in the steel cage match, and everybody got ushered to the back again. So it's not like the Hurt Business even helped in any way Bobby Lashley try and get back the WWE title. More than likely a 1 week thing. I would not be surprised if it was a 1 week thing. The steel cage match was excellent. I thought they put on a great showing. But I think with Bobby Lashley's loss, he moves to SmackDown. And I think Big E, clearly, he's staying on Monday Night Raw. WWE is throwing shit at the wall, hoping for the best. And clearly nothing is going to generate interest on Monday night, because I think the fans see right through it. I really do. I've taught you guys well. I've taught you guys very well over the years. Randy Orton was not cleared by medical. He was not scheduled to be at Extreme Rules, but he was not at Raw on Monday and was briefly mentioned in a backstage segment by Matt Riddle. Orton's absence is interesting because he had missed several weeks of action just a couple of months ago before returning last month, before him and Riddle won the tag team titles at SummerSlam. PW Insider's reporting that Orton is not cleared to perform There are no details available on what exactly this means. Orton last wrestled on the September 20th episode of Raw, where he defeated AJ Styles. I don't want to throw it out there, but he wasn't cleared to perform. Probably a COVID-related reason, maybe. I don't see Randy Orton being injured, but we will see. If he's out a couple weeks and then comes back, more than likely a COVID-related issue, and WWE is not about to strip the titles off of RK Bro, so it's not going to happen. Randy Orton will be back. You just got to give him a couple weeks. Not cleared to perform, says Mike Johnson of PW Insider. Alexa Bliss, she was not on the show. She will actually be off WWE TV for the next few months. Wrestling Inc. is reporting that Alexa Bliss will be taking time off, and it is believed she will be off TV for a few months. PW Insider backed up this report and stated that Bliss is scheduled for upcoming sinus surgery. The exact time frame for her return to action is not known at this time. So we don't know if Alexa Bliss is going to maintain this evil Bliss character, or if Charlotte Flair destroying Lily and Alexa Bliss moving off of television for the next couple of months. We don't know if she's coming back as evil Bliss or going back to the goddess Alexa Bliss, and the death of Lily was the start of this transformation. We don't know. So she will be out. If you guys are looking for Alexa Bliss on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown during the draft, don't. She's out because of sinus surgery. And Bill Goldberg. We're going to end with Bill Goldberg, Becky Lynch's favorite wrestler, because we call her Becky Lynchburg for what she did to Bianca Belair at SummerSlam. WrestleVotes. They were the first to report that Goldberg versus Lashley is one of the big matches planned for Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel will be live on Thursday, October 21 from Saudi Arabia. And the rematch was set up at SummerSlam when Goldberg's son Gage jumped Lashley as Lashley attacked Goldberg with the steel chair. Lashley, not realizing who was on his back, put Gage in a hurt lock submission. WWE is now booking this match at Crown Jewel, and the reason why Goldberg appeared live on Raw from his home to address Bobby Lashley is because this match is taking place at Crown Jewel. He addressed how Lashley put his hands on his son Gage. Goldberg says he will hurt Lashley real bad. He may even terminate him completely. So this match was pretty much set in motion on Monday Night Raw. So we got Lashley and Goldberg. We got Reigns and Lesnar. We're probably going to get Rollins and Edge, being that Edge is back on SmackDown. And then we got the King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown Tournament Finals. So whether you like it or not, Crown Jewel, the Saudi Arabia shows, they usually are terrible. WWE is at least trying to make this one seem a little bit more important than its previous versions. So we got two big matches. Well, two big matches. Rollins and Edge. I thought they've been fantastic. I don't consider this Lashley Goldberg shit to be important at all. Lashley's not the champion, so more than likely Goldberg is going to get his win back over Lashley in Saudi Arabia to send the geeks in Saudi Arabia home happy. And then Reigns and Lesnar. That's the only thing legitimately going on right now with any interest. So that's going to be interesting because where does Paul Heyman's allegiance lie? They're trying to make it important, but that one match is pretty much going to make the entirety of that show. Guys, I'm getting out of here. I gave you everything I got. If you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below. All the top stories today, let me know what you think of them down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of the draft, what you would change, what you would keep, or did I book it perfectly, which I think I did. I thought I booked the perfect draft. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Go get your t-shirts, bonfire.com. Please support the t-shirts. Go and get one today. Links are underneath the video player right now. Hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,500 thumbs up on the video. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell for notifications. Hit the join button if you want to become a VIP in the OTS venue. Manscaped.com. Use code SCRIPT20 at checkout to save 20% off and get yourself free shipping. Patreon.com/JD from NY206 and go check out all the other videos this week on the homepage. If you missed any of the content, it is there, ready and waiting for you. Guys, I'll be back on Sunday night with some gaming streams on the second channel. You guys can actually subscribe to that down below in the description. And I will be back right here in the venue post-show on Monday Night Raw, Night 2 of the WWE Draft. I'll see you guys then. Until then, have a great weekend. I'll see you guys back in the venue for Raw.